Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Online Summit. This is Gertrude Matcha here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of a sister from another mother, an amazing woman that I met in Dallas, Texas. Oh gosh, I don't even know how many years ago. We
Yeah,
have also on our panel the beautiful Miss Ruth Dengwani in Zimbabwe. My little sister, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing
I'm
great.
doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So this is now day three, Ruth, of our online summit.
Day two.
Day two.
Day two.
Sometimes the
Okay.
days just merge into each other. I'm like, is it day one, day two, day three?
It's day two.
It's wonderful to be here. So, Miss Mary. This
Uh,
woman is amazing. She is the mother of two boys. She is
yes.
an author, has written several books. But what's really special about today is, every once in a while you meet these angels who walk this planet, people who extend a helping hand to strangers. I met Miss Mary when I was trying to move to the United States. I think it was in 1999 or 98
Yeah.
and 98.
Mm-hmm.
And I was traveling around the US on an art circuit called the Atlanta Black Art Circuit. And I was selling my art. As you know, some of you know that I'm a textile artist. I paint batik and fabrics. And I stopped in Dallas because I had a brother who lived in Dallas. I stopped to visit him and I was trying to paint more fabric so I could go on to the next market. Unfortunately, my sewing machine was making too much noise and I had to find somewhere else to live. And I found a place with a woman that Miss Mary knew. She would pick me up to work with her every morning. So she had an upholstery factory. She needed a seamstress for Christmas. So I got that job and I was so excited because I could make some money and she was paying me piecework. So I knew for every piece I sewed, I would get some cash. And I was trying to raise money for the air tickets for me and my family to move to the United States. So one morning, Miss Mary comes to pick me up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm standing outside in my morning gown. And the owner of the house I was living in had put me in a room outside the main house with no toilet, no heating. I didn't even have the key to come into the main house to go to the toilet. I remember that very clearly. I had to hold it in all night.
Oh,
And she had had a party that evening. So she was fast asleep. She didn't hear me knock when I wanted to go into the house to have a shower, go to the loo, and get ready for work. Now, if any of you know Dallas, this is in winter. It was just before Christmas. It's snowing, below zero temperatures, and I'm standing outside in my morning gown in the snow. Mary arrives to pick me up. I'm still not ready. And she's like, "Why are you outside?" And I said, "Oh, she's asleep and I'm trying to wake her up so I can go in and have a shower." She said, "But where are you staying? Aren't you staying in the house with her?" I said, "No, I'm staying in the room outside." You can continue the story, Mary.
yeah. She's Gertrude said the room outside, and I said the room outside, and it ended up just being a garage, just a garage with nothing, just a cold garage, and I had a fit. I said, "No, Gertrude, no, this is not going to work." We finally got the woman to wake up, and Gertrude got dressed for work. But I made up my mind. I said, she is not going to stay there anymore. I said, Gertrude, you could live with me. I said, since I have to pick you up every morning anyway, we'll just go to work together. And from then on, Gertrude lived with me, and we had so much fun. We got so much work done because Gertrude is just like the ever ready bunny. That's just feet are still moving, and you run into a wall, feet still going. I couldn't get her to slow down, so we got a lot of work done, and
I
it's just
remember that Christmas.
yeah, that
And
was
what amazed me, Miss Mary, is Number one, I was straight out of Africa. You didn't know me from a bar of soap, but you
No,
allowed me into your home
yes,
and your work ethic. I remember you were like my mom. My mother had your kind of energy. My
yeah,
mother was constantly on the go every
yeah,
single day. She was
mm,
also a seamstress. And there were so many similarities between you and my mother. It just absolutely blew me away. But
oh
for
man.
me, it was your kindness. Now, my first question for you today is what inspired you to do that? To open your home to a complete stranger who you didn't know?
It's when I heard you speak, because Linda, I'm not gonna say her name, but she was telling me about you, and then I said, well, we're so busy. I don't know if I could hire somebody that doesn't know the way to do this work. I mean, this is Christmas. This is our busiest time. But I said, okay, I'll meet her. But when I met you and I heard you speak, all the doubts that I had, it wasn't about you working, getting the work done. It was about me helping you. That's how it switched. And I said, she needs me to help her, and this is what's gonna happen. So I was there to help you. Your spirit. That's what it was. Your spirit. And
And I managed to make enough money to pay for air tickets for my husband and my three children
yeah,
to come to the United States. I knew that I could go back home and get my family, and I had somewhere to come and stay. And unfortunately, of course, that trip never happened because
yeah.
I missed the flight just before 9/11.
Oh
But
man.
we
But
have remained friends. We have
ever
been
since then,
friends
Gertrude
ever
has really
since.
been a blessing, because after you all left and you got back on your feet, I went downhill. I mean, I got sick, and the house that I was living in, I had to sell it and move to a smaller place. And I was just really in a bad mental. And I had the first back surgery. So Gertrude invited me to come to New Zealand. And I said, what, New Zealand? And I was scared. And she said, no, Mary, you come, you come. And I did come. That's the best thing I could have ever done, to see that side of the world. Gertrude, it's been amazing. I can't explain this woman, man.
It was amazing friendship that
It was.
has kept us together for years. Selena, hey, how are
Hi,
you today?
Selena. Selena.
Selena's coming in from the UK. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Sorry, I just came in and out because Comfort called me on there. She wanted the link.
Okay, so Comfort is coming as well. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So Miss
Hi,
Mary
hi,
will
hi.
Hi,
be
Selena.
part of our team. So Miss
Yeah,
Mary, I want you to scoot to your right a little bit because you're too much to the left. Yeah, that's
yeah.
good. We want to see your beautiful face.
Hey,
Now,
that's better.
let's go back and talk about your story a little bit because you have a phenomenal story. The
Okay,
things that you have overcome in your life. Let's go right back to the beginning. I'll let you choose where you want to start.
okay. I guess if we start from the beginning, I'll talk about the first time I prayed, actually prayed to God and was able to get an answer. I was in the third grade, so I was probably 9 years old. And I had this spelling teacher. She was so mean. If you wanted to go to the bathroom, you would get some licks and you'd have to stand on one foot and hold books just because you wanted to go to the bathroom. That's how mean she was. So I lost my spelling book. And a friend of mine, we looked for days. And when it was time for spelling, I would sit with her. And so we could kind of fake like I had a book. But she said, Mary Sims, you're going to have to pray and talk to Jesus about this book because we can't find it. So that night, I went home, and you say your prayers, God bless mama, daddy, and all that. And at the end, I said, oh God, please help me find my spelling book. Do you know? I heard a voice said, you will find the book tomorrow. It's going to be a little hard on you, but you'll find it. I open my eyes and I look at my sister and she's sound asleep. I said, who is that talking? And I just let it go. And so I went to sleep. The next morning, I'm walking to school and the crossing God helps me across. And the voice says the same thing. Remember, you're going to find your spelling book today. I said, oh, I forgot. So here it is after lunch. I'm just, getting ready to sit next to my friend so I could fake like I had a book. The teacher says, Mary Sims, come up here. She never called my name. I was a good girl, and so I was so scared. I went up to her desk. She goes to her drawer, and that's where she kept her strap. And she said, "Where's your spelling book?" And when she was opening the drawer, this is what I do. I said, "Oh, I lost it. I lost it." Then I lay on the floor. I'm so dramatic. I start kicking and screaming. I said, "Please, please, Miss Haswell, don't whoop me, please." Next thing she said, "Gal, get up off of that floor. I'm not gonna whoop you." And she said, instead of her pulling the strap out the drawer, she pulls my spelling book out of the drawer. She said, "This book has been in my drawer for over 2 weeks. Do you know how much these books cost? Get up off of that floor." And I didn't, I got my book. I was so embarrassed, rolling on the floor like that. So that evening, I remembered that the voice had said, "You're going to find your book. It's going to be a little hard on you." And the hard was me rolling on the floor and crying and going on. But that was the first time I heard that voice. The next time, a few weeks later, I'm walking home from the store. The same voice says, "Don't cross the street. Stay on this side of the street." I'm looking and said, "Wow, that's that voice again." So I stay on that side of the street. I take about 10 steps. I hear this psst, psst. I'm looking up. I think it's a bird. And then I look over in the path where I would have been walking if I had crossed the street. There was a man standing there with his breeches down to his ankle, and he was masturbating. So if I had crossed that street, he would have raped me or killed me or something. I might not even been here to tell that story. But that is when I began to realize that voice. And then I didn't understand that that voice was my voice until like in the 60s when we got this automatic tape recorder. And I listened to my voice and I said, wow, is that the way I sound? And then it took me almost a year to realize that voice is the same voice that I've been hearing since I was in the third grade. So my point is, when you say to yourself, something told me, or this intuition, for me, that voice is my own voice. Because when you hear something saying don't do this or don't do that, it's not the voice of a stranger. It's not a Japanese woman or a Chinese woman. It's not me. It's not even me talking to you. But when you hear your own voice, you will follow that voice because you know that voice. And if you think about the Bible, when Jesus said, "My sheep hear my voice, and a stranger they will not follow." If you hear a strange voice, you're not going to obey it. So this voice that you hear, I'm in the third grade. Can you imagine this voice of a grown woman talking to me when I'm 9 years old? I don't understand how it happens. It's the future me talking to me. I don't know, but I rely on that voice so much. So, when you think about it, Gertrude or you other ladies, when you hear a voice, who is it? Do you recognize it? Do any of you recognize this voice that you hear? I'm gone. I can't hear. What happened?
Sorry, I was
Unmute.
muted.
Oh, okay, okay.
I was saying I recognize the voice now. And like you, I started hearing it at a very, very early age,
Mhm.
but it used to scare me.
Really?
I used to hear it like a whisper.
Oh,
And I remember I actually remember when I told the voice to stop talking to me.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I was in a convent school, and there's a day when one of the nuns caught me playing in a playground that was forbidden, and she beat me until I fainted, and I woke up in sick bay.
Oh
And they
man.
told me to go into the chapel, do 10 Our Fathers, 10 Hail Marys, and my sins would be forgiven. And after reciting the Hail Mary 10 times, I got confused. Hail Mary, Mother of God. So, how could Mary be the mother of God and the mother of Jesus at the same time?
Same time, right?
So, I came home and I asked my mom, what does this prayer mean? It doesn't make any sense. And I kept questioning the prayer to a point where my parents got really worried. They thought I was possessed by the devil. My mother's cousin was a nun, and they brought her cousin to home, and they would pray over me at night. And the voice kept talking to me saying, ask these questions, ask these questions. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And I told the voice to go away, but it came back a different way. So I'm saying this so that you ever's listening and you're not sure how your intuition talks to you. Sometimes it's a voice, sometimes it's a feeling,
Hmm.
something that nudges you to go left and not right.
Right. A gut feeling.
A gut feeling. So that feeling became very, very strong. And I tell people I've had a spirit led life. I meet my angels, Mary, people like you who come into my path for a reason, and I
Right.
recognize them immediately. So I meet
Mm.
hundreds of people. I've met hundreds of people in my life, but I can count on my one hand 5 people who've made the biggest impact on me, and you are one of those people. So
Oh
it's a gut
wow.
feeling that
Hmm.
I get. Margaret, please unmute, introduce yourself, and Selena, just say where you are so Miss Mary knows who she's talking to this morning.
For sure. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't have the link. So Sister Selena, thank you for sending the link over. Yeah, Miss Mary, nice to meet you. Sister
Nice
Rose,
to
good
meet
to see
you.
you. My name is
Comfort.
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 Thank
Oh,
you.
nice.
Yes. Thank you. My name is Comfort Dondo, and I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but I am
Hmm.
originally from Zimbabwe. Yeah, it's good to be here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Neighbor. Neighbor. Hi, neighbor.
Hi. Where are you, Miss Mary?
I'm in Dallas.
Are you
Dallas,
in Chicago?
Texas. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm in
you're in
Dallas.
Dallas. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
this is home.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
Selena, unmute, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Selena. Hi, Mary. How are
hey,
you?
I'm fine.
Nice
Thank
to
you.
meet you. I'm in the UK in Birmingham.
Oh, Birmingham.
And
Okay, good.
yeah, I'm also from Zoom.
Oh, okay, good. Neighbors, we all neighbors. I tell you.
Oh, where are you from?
Dallas, Texas, all my life, and only time I left the states is New Zealand visiting Gertrude. That was a
Then you came
that's
to New Mexico, and I
yeah,
took you to New
Mexico and
York.
Pennsylvania, New York.
Oh,
Gertrude just
wow.
took me on this road trip. I mean, it was, and I said, I wish I was younger and I could keep up with her, but I
Did she
just
take you to
couldn't.
Mexico? I hope she didn't take you to
Yeah, she
Mexico.
did. We went.
New
Oh,
Mexico, New
then we
Mexico.
went back to
Oh,
California.
New
We just
Mexico.
all over the United States. I had so much fun.
She
Man,
had
I
never left the state of Texas. I'm like, what do you mean?
no.
You live in America?
Texas is big though. Texas is a big place. I had traveled the United States just a little bit. I'd been to California. I lived there for a while, and then I came back and been to Arizona, but it wasn't for a few days. I'm just a homebody. But Gertrude will take you places. She is not afraid of nothing. She's not.
She's
I'm
died.
telling you, she will take a
We call them
chance.
hard Mashona type in our country.
Wow. Say that again. What did you say?
Hard Mashona type.
What does that mean?
I'm very
Very
hardy,
tough
Mary.
woman, right? Is
Very
that
tough and durable.
Oh, it sounds like kind of sound like what is it, Akuna Matai on the Lion King or something like that.
Hakuna Matata.
Yeah, what she said. But I have so much fun with the women from Zimbabwe. I was in the hospital one time having surgery, and the nurse, as soon as she opened her mouth, I said, "Oh my God, you're from Zimbabwe." And she said, "Yes, how do you know?" I said, "Because I know. And I've been in the hospital twice, and she was my nurse both times." It's just like I was so happy to see her.
Uh,
The voice, the dialect, man. This is
so,
just,
Mm.
Mary, let's go back now and talk about your first book,
oh,
Going
okay.
Home Another Way. What is the
Okay.
book based on? What is that story about?
Okay. Going home another way. Uh, Sad to say, but this is what happened. I ended up getting on drugs. I was addicted to crack cocaine.
Oh
And
dear.
I had been clean for 3 years, 3 years, no drugs, but I was still afraid of relapse. You're just walking on a tightrope. So here I am talking to this voice. The voice and I became best friends. And I said, God, because I called the God, voice God. I said, God, how long? When am I going to be free from this fear? And the voice says to me, you're going to have to write your way out of this. And I say, right, what do you mean? And it says, you're going to have to write in a diary. And I said, well, you know how sometimes when you hold a pencil too tight, I always wrote with my hand, but I had got calluses on this finger right here. So I says, well, I can't write like that. I say, now, if I had a computer, I'd write a diary. So I was just trying to appease the voice, but I knew I wasn't going to buy a computer. So it says, okay, well, when you get a computer, you're going to write. I said, okay. But I knew I wasn't going to buy a computer. So the next week, I had a customer come in, Mr. Murphy. I'll never forget his name. He came in, he owed me $400 to balance on a sofa. So I'm finishing out the receipt, and he says, Mary, don't write that receipt out. I said, why? He said, because I'm going to give you a computer and a printer and some lessons instead of giving you the $400. And Gertrude, you know me, how I can get with my mouth. I opened my mouth and getting ready to say, hell no, you won't. That was in my throat. And then I remembered what I told the voice. If I had a computer, I would write. And all of those words, I just swallowed them. I said, yes, God. Yes, Mr. Murphy. Okay. So Mr. Murphy brought the computer in and he taught me how to write on it. And I got good with it. And I took the computer home. And the voice and I talked about me writing this diary. And I said, well, where do I start? And the voice says, start with your first memory. So I started typing. I was born. It says, they said I was born March the 11th, 1954. But I don't know. But that's how I opened it up. And it looked like the words just started flowing. And when I started reliving my childhood, there were really moments of tears, but I got through it, and there were a lot of laughter. But I knew I was coming to the part about the drugs, and I ended up getting through it. But the main part of the story is there was a lady who's a part of the story, but she was on drugs and she wanted me to do drugs with her again. And she came to my house, and I was pretty in a good piece of my diary. I even was talking about the drugs in my diary. I think I had about 40 pages. And I had printed them out and laid it on my desk. And she came to the house that day and she said, what is this? And she picked it up and I didn't want her to read it. I said, no, don't read that. And she started reading. She says, how the hell are you going to write something? And I've been through a lot of more stuff than you have. And she said, when she got to the part about the drugs, she said, God, I need you to help me today because I want some drugs. I said, Mary, her name was Mary too.
Yes.
So I felt guilty about her reading that part of my diary. And I said, Mary, come on. She said, I got to help me some drugs. I said, no, we won't get any drugs. We'll go get some liquor. So we got in her car. We started, the liquor store was closed. So she went to the bootleg house. And I told her, I said, when you go in this bootleg house, do not buy crack. Just buy alcohol. So she came out with the alcohol, and we went and got some chicken, and I went to her house. And this woman, she was determined to get crack that day. So she stood up. She said, I have to, God gonna have to show me today. And she said, I gotta have some crack. She put on an orange dress, orange earrings, and orange shoes. Everything was orange, earrings. And I'm just sitting there. I was just bewildered. And she said, let's go. You would think I would say no. I couldn't even say no. I got in the car with her. We went driving around. She finally found the crack. We came back to our house. She lit the pipe. She lit the pipe for me, and I surrendered. Here I am going on 4 years of sobriety. I took one puff of the drugs, and then I remembered what it was like, and I already inhaled it. So what am I supposed to do? And I let the drugs go out, and I said, "Oh God!" I said, "I got to go home." So I put the pipe down, and I went home. And then when I but I had to walk home, mind you, me, because she drove me. So I walked home, about a 10-minute walk. When I get home, my youngest son is sitting on the porch. And by then I was crying. He said, "What's the matter with you?" And I told him what happened. He said, excuse my French. He said, that bitch is coming back, don't you? I said, yeah. He said, are you really finished with drugs? I said, yes, I'm finished. I said, what am I going to do about her? How am I going to finish this book? He said, you're going to make that bitch, excuse me, you're going to make her a character in this book, because this is how you're going to end the story. And Mary ended up being a character in this book. And she did come back. This is how she came back. One night, my sons were getting ready to go shoot pool. It was dark, and so I opened the door and let them out, and I waved. And by the time I see their lights pulling out the driveway, she pulls in the driveway. And so I'm thinking, it's my sons. They forgot something. And I opened the door. It was her and a white gentleman. I said, what do you want? She said, we need a place to smoke. I said, Mary, you can't smoke in my house. They barged their way and went into the garage. And I surrendered again. But the voice says, I want you to watch and look at what you've been running from. So I walked out to the garage behind them, and I looked at them. I looked at them smoking. I looked at how they changed. I said, is this what I've been running from? And then the washing machine changed cycles, and it scared them to death. Their eyes, you'd have to see them. So she said, we got to go. We can't smoke here. And then she left a big piece of crack on the washing machine. She said, this is for you. I said, no, take that with you, because I don't want it. They walked out of the garage. And before the boys left, I had asked them to take the trash out. They didn't do it. So Mary and her friend drove off, and I took the trash can and rolled it to the curb. And I put the trash can there, and I look up in the sky, and there I see a falling star. And all I could say, my wishes come true. I am not afraid anymore. And since that night, I am not afraid of relapse. That's what that book is about. And that book saved my life. It really did. Going home another way.
That's an amazing story, Mary. Not many people make it out of crack addiction, and you
No, they
managed to do
don't.
it and get your life back on
Yeah.
track. Now,
Hmm.
your next book is called An Angel Without a Name. Is that the
Yeah.
second one?
That's the
What is
second
that?
book. So many people who read Going Home Another Way wanted to know, do I still hear from the voice, and who is this voice? And I'm explaining who the voice is. It's an angel without a name. It's basically giving more detail on Going Home Another Way. So, and
Okay.
another book I wrote, uh, Nobody's Here But Us, Looking for God in All the Wrong Places. Now, that's the first fiction that I ever wrote. And when I started writing that, something, I don't know what happened. I started writing this story of fiction, and these characters, they became real. And I would get so indulged in them. I said, "Ooh, I wonder what they're doing." And the voice would say, "Well, you make them do what you want them to do." Because I had got kind of detached from that. I said, "Oh, this is good. This is good. What are y'all doing?" So I realized that I could control what they are doing, and that is one book. I tell you, look at the reviews of it on Amazon. Nobody's here but us, looking for God in all the wrong places. I tell you, man. But I just love writing, and I haven't been able to write too much now since my shoulder's been messed up. But boy,
Well, one way you can continue writing, Miss Mary, is just to pull out your phone and record yourself speaking the story.
yeah, speaking it, and
Then we can get it transcribed.
yeah, I can speak, and it will type for me, and it'll
Yes.
type some words because I have this dialect, and it sounds funny, but but
It
I can
can
go
be
back and
most of it.
correct it. But God, I've had so much fun. And let me tell you one more thing. There was a time when I didn't know my boys knew that I was on drugs. And I left one night in the middle of the night, and my oldest son said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I got a phone call. I'm finna go where?" He said, "Mama, the phone haven't ring. You going to buy drugs." And I said, "Oh my God, how did they know?" But anyway, I left anyway. And when I came back, I told him I didn't do drugs. And he asked me what made me want to try to go do it. And I was in the process of straightening my hair. One side of it was straightened, and I was going to curl it. But when I put the spritz on it and put the curling iron on it, it went like psst, psst, sizzle. And I've done that, I don't know how many times, but that psst, that sound is identical to lighting crack on the pipe. And that particular time, it was like, God, I want to do crack. And I couldn't even finish my hair. So when I came back that night, I told him what was making me want crack. I said, every time I curl my hair, the sound. My
Yeah.
oldest son, he said, "You know what? We're going to fix that." He got the clippers. Do you know he shaved my hair off that night? Shaved it off. He said, "Hair is not gonna make you lose your sobriety." And he every time my hair would grow back, he'd say, "How you doing, Mom?" I said, "I'm doing okay." He said, "You're not using that spritz and that curling iron again?" I said, "No, I'm
And
okay."
that's how you went back to having your hair natural, correct?
Yes, uh-huh. It was
Because
a
of that
long
sound
time before I could get over that sound, but that it was that sound. And people have different triggers, but for me,
triggers. Yeah.
we had to stop frying bacon in the skillet, the sizzling sound, and it was a
That's
journey. It
great.
was an illness, and it took the whole family to work with me to get past that.
Mm. So
But
let's
I never,
unmute, ladies, and ask Miss Mary some questions. What a fascinating story you have, Mary.
it's
We'll
a
start with you,
miracle.
Ruth. Let's go around the room and give Miss Mary some feedback.
Miss Mary. Wow.
Now, who is that? Who's talking?
It's
It's Ruth.
Ruth.
Oh, Ruth.
Wait.
Okay, hey, Ruth.
so,
Yes,
so this voice, your voice has been speaking to you from the age 9, and
yes.
through the journey. I know that there were times when you'd maybe shut it down.
Mhm.
I
Okay,
think
say that again.
somebody's okay. So
Um, can I ask you to mute yourselves if you're not speaking? I'm hearing some background music.
yes, okay.
Okay, so say that
Okay.
again, Ruth.
So I was going to ask about the voice in the seasons that you were shutting it down. How did that affect your direction or the way your life was going? Gertrude spoke about the time when she told the voice not to speak to her, and
Yeah,
I
never to
know
speak
that's
again.
yeah.
Okay. There were times the voice. Now, see, the voice didn't always speak. It spoke to me when I was 9, but when I got about 14 or 15, I started having visions and dreams. And
Mhm.
when the dreams started coming true and people were dying around me, I just, and I said, oh, if the voice would come back and tell me what's going on. And then I just begged everything to leave. I said, I don't want voices, I don't want visions, I don't want nothing. And then the dreams kept coming, and then you had to translate the dreams. But now the voice is back. But I realize now that it is my inner self. It is me. It's kind of like you have a positive and a negative, and
Mhm.
yin and yang, and I have a choice to do wrong or do what's right. And I'm 67 years old, so even I'm that old, but that negative still comes in, and you still have to control it. Because there are times I've been so angry I want to hit somebody, and I said, no, you can't do that, and I can't hit anybody now because my shoulders are hurting. So I'm just really in a good place where I can't cut up. It's just, and you don't want to get invalid and old before you surrender. But I was a feisty woman. I mean, really, because I dealt with so many customers, and the majority of them were white, and they would try to disrespect me in my shop, and it
Mhm.
was just, I don't know. But I've learned to tell the story. That's all I can do now is tell the story. That's all.
Yeah, and well done on the strength of overcoming
Yes.
um, the addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much,
Amazing.
Mary.
Yeah, the addiction was so strong. Even though I hadn't smoked anything and I was free, this thing would come in my dreams, and it would be like a wet dream. And I would be about to smoke the pipe, and I'd wake up. It's like, wow. So that's a very powerful thing to go through. Very powerful.
Mm.
Yes.
Any other
Yes.
questions, ladies? Let's go around the room. Selena, Comfort, Wadzanai. Wadzi, do you want to just introduce yourself and say where you are?
Gigi.
Okay. Hi, my name is Wadzi. I
Okay.
am Zimbabwean by
Okay. Bye.
nationality, and I'm based in Rome. And
Rome. Oh wow.
yes, Rome, Italy, not the one in the
Rome.
States.
Yeah. Not
uh,
Rome,
Miss
Texas.
Mary, my question is about how you keep going day by day, having, having sort of kicked a habit, but it's never gone, is it totally? Like when you have bad days and when you want to escape and when you want, when you remember that feeling that it used to give you,
Yeah,
how do you get by day?
that came with time. It's been going on 27 years. So I don't even have that. I don't even have any cravings or anything. It takes a lot of time. And now it's just like it was a past life. It can go away. It's not a struggle, it's not a fight. It's like, did that really happen? And yes, it did. But with time, it goes away. Yeah, and my brother, he was a drug addict before I was, and we talk about it now. He said, Mary, I don't even have those dreams anymore. So it can, but it takes time. You can overcome it. Yeah. I am so thankful though that I did. And if you guys want to hear more about me, I have a YouTube channel. It's called Mary's World. And I make little short clippets about different things on my mind that happen in my life. So check out Mary's World on YouTube, and there's some videos that's kind of, I'm mad at somebody and I'm talking about what all I can do now is express my anger. And until recently, I got the anger under control. I'm trying to work on that. That's the thing, I'm working on my anger. So it's still every I don't care how many demons you slay, it's still gonna be another one that pops up. We gotta be demon slayers all our life.
Mm.
So that's what
Miss
we have.
Comfort, any feedback for Miss Mary?
Miss Mary.
That brings me
Uh-huh.
into my question. It's so nice to meet you, Miss Mary.
Yes.
I was having a question around what is your take on dealing and fighting an addiction, with it being more a spiritual battle than a physical? Because I think a lot of times we fight in the physical and we forget the spiritual. Can you talk a little bit about that? And I
Okay.
wanted to also say um, well done. And I think for me,
Thank you.
I give God the praise for your
Yes.
life, to be able to
Mhm.
overcome, because I know only through Him and
That's
by
right.
Him that we can. So
That's right.
yeah. Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
the overcoming addictions and stuff like that, it is a fight. And when you're fighting an addiction, picture yourself in a boxing ring with the gloves on, because you are fight. The enemy is you. And when decided that I was going to quit, I would go buy the drugs and buy the pipe, but I would have to come home and physically break the pipe with a hammer. And my other mind would say, "You just wasted your money." And the next day, I would go buy the pipe again and buy drugs, and I flush the drugs down the toilet and break the pipe. It was a physical fight with myself. I mean, actually breaking that. Uh, I put the pipe in a sock and bang it on the floor, the bathroom floor. And then finally, when this side of me that wanted to do drugs realized that Mary's crazy, she gonna break the pipe and throw the drugs away. So my mind had to conjure up another way. Go over here, and they gonna give you some drugs. So I had to learn to quit going to those people's houses. But it is a physical and a mental fight. Sometimes if you fighting sugar and want to quit, Coke, you got to throw it down the sink. It's that you have to do that. That's what you have to do, and that's how I did it. That real fight, the hammer and breaking up the pipe, and nobody has
Wow.
to know that you're fighting like that, but it is a fight. Did I answer your
Miss
question,
Selena, any more feedback before we move on to our next speaker, Selena?
No,
Selena?
I'm just enthralled, like the way mesmerized, it's really powerful because I know some people end up really losing it, like going into mental disturbances after taking. I've got relatives who,
Yeah.
I mean, really couldn't contain it. They couldn't control themselves, and they
Mm,
ended up, like getting really bad. So well done, you. I know it's the power of a woman or the power of a mother. When you look at your children and think, okay, I might be this low, but I've got the responsibility. So I need to be, there for these kids,
yeah.
So well done, you.
Thank you. And they watched me come out of this, and it wasn't any disrespect because I felt so low. And when my oldest son said, we're going to cut your hair off, you don't need any hair because we're getting rid of all the triggers. So I knew they were in my corner. I'll tell you, it was a low place, but I am so happy. I'm happy to be on here with you guys too. It makes me want to cry because I'm a crybaby, and it's just amazing. I thank God for my journey. I really do. Mhm. It's
Thank
amazing.
you
Cry
so
with
much,
you.
Miss Mary.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you,
Absolutely
ladies. Thank
wonderful.
you.
So
Yes.
you are welcome to stay with us. We're going to move on to our next speaker.
Oh,
Can she
yes.
write with the website she was talking? I'm sorry, I was
Uh,
moving homes.
Oh, the website. I mean, not the website, but the YouTube channel is Mary's World. And the
Mary's
website,
World.
Mary's World. And the website is My Mecca. MYAMECCA.com. MyAmerica.com. And the YouTube, you'll learn more about me and even the website. But If you all get this, you could pass it on to somebody else, because we all deal, and family members, we all deal with addictions some kind of
Mm,
way. Sex, all sorts. The people have all sorts of addictions. So
yeah.
what it is still a fight regardless. But I'm gonna stay. I want to hear somebody else. I mean, this is
Yes.
amazing. It's my first time being on here, and if it's Gertrude doing it, I know it's a great thing, man. This is
Thank you,
wonderful.
Miss Mary. So we're going to
Mm.
move off from the stage and we're going to introduce our next speaker, Miss Ruth. Can you do the grace of introducing?
Oh, I see. Our next speaker is Wadanai Garwe. I call her a woman of strength, a woman of resilience, and a woman with a great smile. After her journey and where she's been, she's still standing and smiling. I don't have your official bio in front of me right now, Wadzi, but I can't wait to hear the story you're going to share with us today. I know last week or in the last summit you shared on domestic violence, and you said this time you're going to share on mental health in this session. So thank you so much, Wadzi, for joining us again, and welcome back. And the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, Ruth. So I'm an economist. I work in Rome. And I'm a mother of two, and I'm an author. I'm actually an international best-selling author. Yeah. And I'm from Zimbabwe. And last time I spoke about my journey with HIV, actually. Um, and this time I wanted to talk about my journey with mental health. So I'm an overachiever. My sister, who comes after me, her name's Chipo. She went to school actually, in at the convent with uh, um, some of you girls. So she always says to me, "Wadzi, the overachiever, the overstimulator." I always wanted to be an aunt. I ended up being a mother, but I always wanted to be an aunt because I thought aunts are so much fun. Aunts always bring like love and light and joy to children. So I've always wanted to be an aunt. And what happened is, being an African woman who went to school, there was a lot of pressure put on our generation because our parents were the generation that fought apartheid. And then our generation, I was born in 1966, so I'm 55 years old. So our generation was the generation that was expected to do the post apartheid kind of struggle success story. So I started off being the only Black child in an all white school. Excuse me, when I was in primary school in Mutare, it was called Mtale then, in the 70s. And I was always expected as an African child, you have to bring your best game every day because you've got to prove to the white spaces you're in that you're good enough, that there's something. So you always have to bring something to the game. So I was an all rounder, played basketball, hockey, tennis, swimming. Um, Academically, I was always on top. One of my friends used to say, "What do you read, Mills and Boons?" Which were these romance stories that we had at our time, and yet you still pass because I have that sort of brain. Once I get something, please don't repeat it because I got it, you know? So this high achieving, high achievement stuff, you continue, right? Because this is all you know. My parents expected me to get good grades. They expected me to be the best of the best of the best. Then you get into the working world and the same dynamics exist. You're still expected to give off your best. You're still expected to be the best. So I just carried on. And last time I spoke about having HIV. So imagine I'm dealing personally with HIV, and I haven't disclosed my status to anyone. I'm dealing with the stigma. I got married. Luckily, my husband knew, he was there when I got diagnosed. So he was an ex-husband now, but he was there. So now I've got pregnancy with HIV. I've got the science that's evolving with HIV. I've got work. I was the breadwinner. So all of this is going on. And I'm just like in Zimbabwe, we have this saying that you make a plan. So as things are happening, I'm making a plan. So because of my HIV, I always expected to die young. So I was on an accelerated pace. I was like, we had built a house, left it for the kids, created income sources, all sorts of stuff. I was on steroids. And then the Zimbabwe economy tanked in maybe 2006, 2007. And again, I thought, okay, let's readjust. I took myself off to do a master's. I did that master's in a year, crammed it into this year. I'm also working full time. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm everything. I'm doing all of this at the same time. So I get my master's and I finally get into the international development scope. I started working for the UN and I'm going, girls. I am not taking a minute. In 2000 and what year was it? 2013, I was in a hostage situation. So in that hostage situation, we were held up by militia and my brain cracked, my mind, boom, I can't do this anymore. Wadzi, you need to face your demons. I just cannot. But being me, being Zimbabwean, the narrative in my head was always, you need to keep going. And my mind was like, I can't do this. Girl, you're not listening to me. I cannot do this. And I was like, yes, we can. So I got held up. The organizational principle is that you get held up, you get flown out. I was in the Sudan, I was in South Sudan. No, I get a call from my boss. He says, how are you feeling? I said, oh, no, I'm good. He's like, okay. And of course, he didn't say, Wadzi, you need to be flown out. None of that. He's like, okay, if you're good, keep going. I was there for an additional 4 weeks. However, because I come from a family of people in the medical field. My mom's a nurse. In fact, all her sisters are mostly nurses and teachers. My brain started, I couldn't sleep. I got insomnia. I stopped being able to concentrate on stuff. So I sent a message to the medical unit and I said, look, I'm not okay. I'm just not doing okay. Right. I fly back to Rome. So from Sudan, I fly back to Rome and I'm trying to cope and I couldn't put stuff together. I couldn't, it wasn't happening. So I said to my boss, okay, look, I need a few days off. I'm going to be fine. And then the medical unit said to me, I think you need therapy. So why don't you go into therapy? So I went into therapy. And of course, this is Miss Watts, right? I have a solution. I read it all up. I Googled it. I was like, yeah, I'm going into therapy. I'm going to do this. We're going to power through this. It's going to be okay. You cannot power through depression. That's all I can tell you. There's no powering through depression. And I needed a tank to stop me. Depression for me was the tank that just said, my whole body said, I can't get up anymore. I just can't do you anymore. So I went into this deep tunnel. And you see this face, I smiled. I'm the eternal optimist. If there is going to be a problem, I'm like, this is not a problem. There's always a solution. And if there's no solution, come on. Hey, guys, we'll make it work. So depression was so hard for me. I couldn't work out why I couldn't work this shit out. Excuse my language, but that was, and my therapist kept saying, Wadzi, you can't fight depression. And I kept saying, there's got to be a solution. I mean, I'm solutions based. I give solutions to people. During that time, I also got thrombosis. So at the same time as I'm coping with depression, and I'm pretending for my kids. They can see things are not okay, but I would not be able to get out of bed. So what I would do is they would leave for school in the morning. And then at 4 o'clock, when I knew they were coming, I would wash my face and go and sit in front of the TV and just switch on the TV. So when they walked in, I'd be like, "How was school?" And one day my daughter said, "Mom, the TV's not on. What are you doing?" And I thought, oh dear, okay, I guess. So then we started to discuss depression, and I started to kind of, not really, um, kind of say, okay, yeah, okay, I'm depressed, right? I finally admitted, like, hi, I'm Wadzi, I'm depressed. I finally did it. And then, but I'm still trying to find a solution. I'm still looking and I'm getting ideas from everybody. And then somebody said, Wadzi, you need to do Vipassana. Vipassana is this 10-day meditation that you do. You go and you are in silence for 10 days. Anybody who knows me knows that Wadzi, silence 10 days. How are you going to do it? Anyway, I got into Vipassana. So I applied on like a Wednesday. I was in by Friday. I said to my kids, I'll be gone for 10 days. I won't have phones. I won't have anything. So Vipassana saved my life during my first depression. I went to Vipassana, faced my demons, faced myself. 10 days. On day 7, I was having these awful psychedelic dreams. I thought, I can't do this. On day 8, I woke up and I said, oh my God, I'm fine. And day 9, I was flying. I was back. Wadzi was back. I got rid, like I literally stopped taking the antidepressants on day 9. I was done. I was good. I was back. And day 10, you give back your feedback. So now I've learned to meditate. I've learned to do stuff. And I've never been religious, guys. I don't believe in religion. I'm very spiritual. I believe that Musikavanu, who is the creator, created me. But religion, I've traveled so much. And I've seen Buddhism, I've seen there's Islam, I've seen Christianity. And when it's a doctrine, people get so stuck in the doctrine that they forget that the greatest gift is love. So I'm just like, I'm going to give love and let everything else, let people do their doctrines and whatever. So fast forward to 2019. I'm again on steroids. I don't know how to do slow, guys. Even now, I'm like, Wadzi, you've had severe depression. You've had major depressive disorder. Please, can you slow down? Right? I don't know how to do. This has been my life, my whole life. African girl, high achieving, overachiever, overstimulating. Those are the adjectives that you can put to me. So I get to 2019. I am delivering the biggest project I've ever delivered. I'm flying to the Pacific from Rome, right? Complete time difference, everything. I delivered the project on a Friday, handed in. It was brilliant. It got accepted. Perfect. Saturday, I have a huge party because I haven't been home. Everybody wants to see me. Huge party Saturday. Sunday, I'm like, no, I'm tired. I'm going to lie down. Monday, I cannot get out of bed. I am in tears. I am bawling my eyes out. My daughter's like, Mom, I don't know what to do with you. What am I doing? What do I do? And she was going to school because she was at college. And she's like, Mom, what do I do? I don't know what to do with you. And she called my therapist, and then the therapist said, Wadzi, I think it's time that we go into it. You need to be looked after. You need to be institutionalized. And I accepted because I was crying. I didn't know what else to do. I was at the end of my tether. And sorry, it really took me being institutionalized until I was in a psychiatric ward, guys. It was when I was in a psychiatric ward that I said, Wadzi, you are not okay. And it's okay not to be okay. But it took another train smash, another complete crash, another complete everything. I was suicidal. on the day before Christmas. No, it was a week before Christmas. Um, I had to call my daughter and say, "Come and get me. I've got a knife. I'm about to cut myself." And I had suicidal ideation. I had major depressive disorder. I was not okay. And once I accepted that, and once I started to, you know, like get through the depression, because the thing is, I'm very rational, I'm very logical, I'm an economist, I deal with figures, right? So everything can be calculated, but I had never had to calculate my emotion. And this is a girl who's lived through apartheid, had to be in very uncomfortable white spaces all my life. You know that little girl in America who was the first to enter a school and had uh, the police escort her? I can understand her because that was me. Okay, I didn't have police, but I was the only girl in an all white school from grade 1 to grade 7. That was me. I used to walk into the school alone, the only black person. So this is my story. And then I was an overachiever. So when my soul cracked, when my mind cracked, and this is the story I want to tell everyone, you need to attend to your basic needs with compassion, ABC. You need to stop this narrative about the strong black woman. We are all human. We all have a point where we break. I remember saying to my therapist, if I was a white girl, I'd have been in an institution a long time ago. And he said, I wish you were a white girl because, Wadzi, you've put up with a lot of black shit. You've put up with a lot of shit. You need to process that, and you need to acknowledge it, and you need to say, it's okay to be an angry black woman because the world has been unfair. And you've just kept getting up when the world has been hitting you and pushing you down. And so this is what happened to me. I completely crashed, train smash, body completely like, nope, I'm not getting up. I'm not doing this. Girl, I don't care what you're saying. I am not doing this. And with suicidal ideation, one of the things that you do is you decide how you're going to die. So I would say, I'll stop taking my HIV pills. No one will know. And then I'll just die. So I'm here now today speaking at this conference to say it's important, especially for women of color, to understand that stress and depression exist. They can happen to anyone, and it's not a white thing. I used to say when I forgot my first depression, my mom called me and she said, we don't have madness in our family. Because in Zimbabwean culture, depression is associated with mad people walking on the road in dreadlocks, dirty, you know. We do not have madness in our family. So get yourself together, girl, you know. And so I just want to say to everybody, depression is a very real thing. It can happen to anyone. I am a high powered executive. I'm an international bestseller. Come on. I live a beautiful life, but I have seasonal depression. Right now, I've got UV lights doing their thing so that I've got, like, light around me. I have pets to keep me together. I sleep a lot. I do a lot of things that attend to my basic needs with compassion, because I have now learned that all the compassion I gave outside to everyone, I need to give to myself. So the message I want to give everyone is, and I need to get my charger, excuse me, because my computer's about to die. The message I want to give to everyone is it's so important to listen to the signs of your body. Do not get to the point where the train is smashing and stopping you. If you have to stop, stop, because you are more important. Your being here in this world is more important than all those meetings you have to attend, everything that you have to do. Stop dusting. It's okay. You'll dust when you can. Stop seeking perfection, because for us black girls, we were taught perfection. That's all we ever knew. The house had to be perfect. Nobody can enter a house. We will have visitors, and what will they think? So just please be compassionate with yourself. If you can't do certain things, learn to say no. I'd like to stop here. We have a platform called African Conversations with Self, where we have these conversations. I'll put all the links in the chat. If you just give me a moment, let me just get my charger
Okay.
before my computer.
All right. What an incredible story, ladies. We have some fascinating women joining our tribe. I learned so much from Wadzi's presentation, and she's so right. A lot of times we take on so many responsibilities, we don't know when to stop. And I can relate to everything you said, because I'm one of those people who's just constantly on the go, taking on different projects. And what I've done now is I've decided to choose how I use my energy, who I want in my circle, my inner circle. And it has to be people who uplift me, who inspire me, who are positive. Anything else, I don't have the bandwidth to deal with. I've had to drop a lot of family members because of it. But Wadzi, thank you so much. That was such an amazing presentation. So, my first question for you is this. I've heard of Vipassana. I've never done it. I don't think I could do it because I need people around me to exist. How did you get past those days? It's 10 days, right? Where you're in total silence. There's nobody else around you. Explain to me what that experience was like.
Firstly, I was in such a state of despair that I couldn't do people anyway. I
Okay.
was so depressed that I couldn't even get on my phone. I had to shut down Facebook. I had to shut down WhatsApp. I had to shut. If I would not. Somebody would say, "Wadzi, can I come over?" I am the most um, extrovert person you can ever. I mean, yesterday I couldn't come on because I was having people over. I said to Ruth, "I'm sorry, they've just arrived. There's no way I can be on tonight." Right? That's
Yeah.
me. Tonight I had to throw people out. Like, you know, you need to be gone. So with depression, I just didn't have the bandwidth for people. So going to Vipassana, firstly, it gave me a routine, right? Because everything is so regulated.
Okay.
Secondly, I was nurtured. So you are meditating, you're learning to meditate, you're learning to be with your breath, be with yourself. And thirdly, you're facing yourself. So it's one of those things. And I remember this feeling of just sheer joy when I got through day 7. Because day 7, I was like, I've got to go home. I can't do this. I'm in a state. And then I woke up on day 8 and I was fine, guys. I got back to my therapist and I was like, I'm not taking antidepressants anymore. And she's like, this is not right for you. You have to slowly get off antidepressants. I was like, no, I'm fine. And she could see I was fine. I was back. She'd never seen me because the first time she'd met me, I'd been depressed. So she was like, oh my God, you are this bundle of energy. And I said, oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. But I was back. And the one thing I forgot to give you the lessons that are so important. The first lesson I tell everybody: get rid of toxic people in your life. If your mother is toxic, put boundaries, don't do it. Right?
Yeah.
Anybody who gets you down, and it's relatives that are the worst. Friends you can block, delete, whatever. But the people that you have to meet, make sure you have very strong boundaries.
The second lesson I'm going to tell you is, please talk to yourself as if you were your best friend.
Mm.
So the things that you say to yourself, Wadzi, you're fat, Wadzi, you're ugly, Wadzi, would your best friend say those things to you? You know, what would she say to you? She would say, girl, you look good. Put a little bit of lipstick on. We're going out. Do that to yourself. Be your own best friend. Take yourself on dates. Learn the things that make you happy, not the things that you have been doing to make other people happy. As mothers, we spend a lot of time finding solutions for our children. We don't find solutions for ourselves. So that's the second thing. The third thing is breathe. When you're going through the day, I have an app. I have my alarm on every hour. At 1:15, 2:15, it goes off. And whether I'm having a meeting, I will say to people, I'm taking a moment to breathe because I need to get back into this moment right here. I need to enjoy this moment right here. I need to be looking at all these faces because you know what we do? I would be on social media as I'm listening to this. I'll be answering WhatsApps. I'll be doing a whole lot of other things. But I will not be seeing the people here. I will not be, yes, I'll be, and as women, it's particularly a woman's thing. We multitask, right?
Yeah.
Because we've had to do baby bottles while we're sorting out our husband's mission to wherever, while we're doing our, So this taking a moment to be in your space right this moment, to say, what is everybody wearing? What is comfort? Is she in red? I really like the way she looks. Because a lot of the times, and you can honestly, you will leave the space and not remember that what he was wearing, because you're so busy doing you. And the fourth thing, I say this every time, honestly, you cannot pour from an empty cup.
Mhm.
We give so much as women. We are angels. I mean, we are creators. We create life. So we have to give. But the one thing that you cannot do is you cannot not be selfish. There's a moment every day that you need to carve out just for you. And whether that means that moment is just to sit and do nothing, please do that,
Yeah.
because you cannot pour from an empty cup.
Man, Wadzi, we are getting so many responses from people on Facebook and YouTube. I'll just share a few comments that have come in. Jusine is saying, thank you so much, Wadzi, for your story and your courage. Lydia is saying, when you're massively depressed, you don't even want people around you, it's possible to do the 10 days. And another comment from Jusine, how do you get over the overachiever wagon? That's an interesting one. People who are perfectionists. So maybe you can answer that before Ruth can jump in with questions, comments, and we'll go around the room. And welcome to the ladies who have just joined us. I can see Pat. Pat, where are you based? Just introduce yourself quickly.
I live in St. Catharines, Ontario, wine country, although I don't drink anymore. um, I'm 75 years old. I'm suffering depression now, um, triggered by caffeine. I'm very allergic to caffeine. I should know better, but the coffee tasted good, but my body hates it. So not
Welcome to our tribe. Wonderful to have you here. How did you find out about the Her Story Circle?
I know Wadzane through a mutual friend in California, Sylvia.
Fantastic. Well,
And
welcome
I
to the
bought her
tribe.
book. I bought her book.
It's wonderful to have you here. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. And
And I
please, sweetheart, get in touch with me. I'll put my email address in the chat. We can chat.
Okay.
Um, I'm going to say this. How do you get over being an overachiever?
I'm not an
Um,
overachiever. I think I'm depressed because I'm underachieving.
no, no, no. I
no,
was
no, this is
answering
a
the
question for
question.
Watson.
It was a question for me, not for you.
Oh, okay.
So the way I got over being an overachiever was to tell myself I'm not a neurosurgeon, right? My contribution to the world is not needed immediately, right?
Mm,
It's not a life and death issue, right? And
yes.
so once people give me a deadline, and if I have to slip, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm going to slip the deadline. Give me a few more days, right? I'm not okay right now. I tell people I'm not okay right now,
Yes.
right? Um, the one thing that I will say, and I'm saying this to a lot of women, but I'm going to say it specifically to Black women. Our mothers lived for perfection. Our mothers had to be the best of the best of the best. I remember my mother every year. August is my birthday year, right? Is my birthday month. I'm born in August. And my mother as a nurse would take August off and I hated it because she would wake us up at 4 a.m. in order to be able to sweep the house. And we used to polish it with this red polish and it had to shine. And the corners, my mother was a nurse. So the corners had to be hospital corners on a bed, right? Do you know the best invention ever for me is a duvet and a fitted sheet? Because I don't have to do hospital corners anymore, you know? But because of our mothers, we have this gene, and because of being Black, and because we are targeted, and because of racism, and because we have to, we even have expressions like, no matter how you feel, dress up and show up,
Yeah.
right? And you never show vulnerability as a Black woman. You are always on point because you have to be on point, right?
I was
Yeah.
taught the same thing.
Yeah, I'm saying this to all women, but I'm
Yeah.
saying there's an additional
Yeah.
burden on Black
Yeah.
women because
Mm,
the world judges us, right?
yeah.
From the get-go.
Yeah.
We don't have the privilege of somebody thinking that I can have a breakdown and it's okay, right? Even with my breakdown, my boss said to me, well, how can we trust you now that you've had depression, right?
Oh,
And
wow.
yet this is what happens, guys. So what's important is that you need to seriously, and I mean this to every Black girl, every woman, Black, white, brown, orange, whatever your color is, you need to tell yourself you're not that important, right? The world will not stop if there's
So
dust
much,
on your
yeah.
shelf, right? The world will not stop if the dishes aren't done, right? I've had dishes in my sink for 7 days running, right? Because I couldn't do it. I was depressed. The world didn't end. Can you believe that? No cockroaches appeared, no ants appeared, everything was fine. So please, women, please stop thinking that the world will stop if you don't do everything. And the second thing, learn to ask for help.
Yeah.
Stop saying to the men in your lives, "Oh, I'll just do that because you're not doing it okay." Right? Because he stops. He's like, "Okay, you don't like the way I do it." And remember, the men will psychologically think, "Oh yeah, she doesn't want me to do it. So no, I can't do the shopping. No, I can't do this." And then you take on more than
Everything.
you need to. Just stop. Just say, okay, whatever it is that you're gonna buy, that's what we'll make do with whatever you've bought. So no, you're not that important, honey. No, the world will not stop if the dishes aren't done. No, the world will not end if we haven't dusted. And no, that deadline is not cast in stone because you're not a neurosurgeon. The only person
Auntie.
who needs to be on point is the doctor who's operating on somebody who's life and death.
So, Wanzi, let's go around the room and give the ladies an opportunity to ask more questions or comments before we move on to our next speaker. Miss Ruth.
I am not that important. What a truth.
It's so true.
But Wazi, thank you for such a presentation, and you tell it with such wisdom and such humor as well, and that you are dealing with it, and this truth is what you are living now, or are what you are living now since you came out of the two major depressions. And you are so right. In Africa, we don't have depression. We're not allowed, especially as the women, we're not allowed to suffer from trauma. We're not allowed to say, I'm tired. Can I just take a break from life? Can I put a pause on everything and just take time out for me? But I think it's now we're talking about it in Africa. We're talking about mental health. We're talking about mental wellness. How is it? How can we help each other to deal with this with depression and with the traumatic situations that we are faced with as women? So I'm glad that you are talking about it. I see you've got such a great followership, and welcome to our tribe. We are joining our tribe to your tribe, so that we just grow bigger and influence more people, so that also our tribe may hear these nuggets and this truth. So thank you so much, and really, yeah, take a pause. The world will not end because you missed the deadline. The world will not end because. Thank you so much for that.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks, Ruth. Miss Comfort, I know you're dying to jump in here. I've seen your comments.
I am. First of all, I'm so happy to see my big sister Oadzi. We met on the Clubhouse, which is an app, and since we met, I've just fallen in love with her energy. Thank you for sharing, Swazi, and thanks for always being so vulnerable and just speaking your truth unapologetically. We need more of yous in a lot of the spaces to lift others up. I don't have a question necessarily, but I actually thought, wow, this is so prophetic. This morning, um, I've been dealing with some things, and this morning for the first time in a long time, I allowed myself to just let it out. And I said, I'm tired of being told to be strong. The strong black woman. Oh, how I do not like that term. A strong black woman, for me, it assumes that you have to deal with the heavy load, which we've always been carrying, which our ancestors have always carried. And I said, I don't want to be strong. I want to be delicate. I want to be feminine. I want to be taken care of. And I actually want to be served and nurtured as well. And as I wrote that, it actually gave me permission to start to imagine what that would feel like. And I realized that I've been on this strong, go, provider, and it does something to your spirit. And so thank you so much for reminding us, for me personally, for reminding me the importance, of doing that and just not taking myself too serious. Like I don't get to wake up at 4 a.m. Okay. I'm gonna start sleeping in. And
No, I know.
so thank you.
And
Thank
one
you
of the
so
things, if I can tell you, ladies,
much.
one of the most important things for your health is to sleep. A lot of women don't sleep enough because you want to be up to make sandwiches, to do whatever, to seek perfection. You need to learn to sleep. You need to take naps, right? My daughter said I should call my next book, You Need to Take a Nap. Because when I'm going through stuff, she always says to me, Mom, is it time for a nap now? Because you've got yourself on steroids, right? So
Yes.
learn to take many naps. And one of the things I'm going to ask us to all do right now, I'm going to take you through a meditation, right? And then we can end this discussion. I know there's a lot more questions. I'm available on just friend me on Facebook, guys. I have said it all. It's there. Just, look through my Facebook.
Wadzi, before we do the meditation,
Yes,
type your website in the chat so I
I
can share
will.
it so
I
people can
will.
get access to you. If you do that for me now before the meditation, it will run with the meditation so people know how to contact you.
Okay, give me a second. And another thing I was going to say, I am actually doing a book on people who have been infected or affected by HIV. And I have a WhatsApp link to a group where you can join, and you can write in any language your story, either if you were infected or you were affected by HIV. And right now, I'm just giving you the links to all the places you can find. Okay, where have I gone? I'm very. I was BBC, guys. I was born before computers. Please give me time. And
Okay, excellent. I'll
then,
share this
yeah,
now. I'll put the Patreon link
yes,
because it's shorter, okay?
yeah.
All right.
Edmund Garrett Trust is on Facebook, and I'm just going to give you the link to the HIV WhatsApp group, please, so that anyone who has a story to share, whether you were infected or affected by HIV, please, 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 you're very welcome to share. Okay, I can't find it. I'll find it in a minute and I'll share it. Okay, so whew, I'm going to ask everyone who is listening, everyone who is here, you are going to breathe in to the count of 5. You are going to hold your breath to the count of 6. And then you are going to breathe out to the count of 7. Are we together? So close your eyes and let's breathe in, hold, and breathe out. Let's do it for the second time. Remember, breathe in for 5, hold for 6, and breathe out for 7. Okay, let's breathe in, hold, breathe out. Third time, let's do it. Breathe in, hold, and breathe out. Now, I would like you to feel as your feet are on the ground. What does the floor or the carpet or whatever you're stepping on, what does it feel like? I want you to feel that surface and then imagine that the blood from your veins is going through your feet, going through the surface that you're on, going all the way down, going through the earth. So the blood is coming, it's rushing through, it's going all the way through, all the way down, all the way through, straight through to Mother Earth, and it's going through the layers of the Earth's surface. It's going through, and remember the layers, there's all sorts of layers. It goes all the way down, it goes through the hot lava, it goes all the way down to the bottom. And I imagine, in my imagination, that at the bottom is a womb. This is Mother Earth. She birthed us, right? So she's a womb. And the womb is like the roots of a tree. And this womb is a place where it's shaped just to take you into the womb and you're lying at the bottom. So imagine that your blood that's come through you goes all the way down, goes through the womb, goes all the way through the earth and gets to the womb, and it mixes in with your Mother Earth, the soil, everything, the lava, the heat, the cold, everything. It mixes in, and like an umbilical cord, you are re-fed, you are renewed, you are given that which you were missing at this moment. And now the blood comes all the way back. It comes back through the earth, having picked up all that vitamin that it needed from Mother Earth, and it comes back into its space. It comes through the feet, and you can feel it. You can feel the blood rushing. You can feel your blood being renewed. You can feel it circulating through your heart. You can feel it. It comes into your face. You feel your flush. You're flushed. You feel it in your head. Suddenly you have clarity. Suddenly the noise stops. Suddenly life is beautiful because you were born unique. You were born to be who you are today. This is not a mistake. So once this has done, you've been renewed by Mother Earth. You then, like, remember your crown chakra at the top? That blood is going to shoot through the top and go all the way to the heavens. It's going to go all the way up this beautiful steps that are circular. And you're going to meet the Creator. You're going to meet Musikavanu, as we call them in Shona. And again, you're going to be renewed. And this time, you are going to pick up this beautiful, beautiful white light with golden specks in it. It's just glittering with gold and it's beautiful. And it's going to come down. So this is all in your blood, and all these little glitters are just playing in your blood, and it's rushing down because you've been renewed from the Father above and the Mother below, and the blood comes all the way back. And I want you to touch your heart because the blood is in your heart, and you're going to say, thank you. Thank you for making me this beautiful, beautiful being who is contributing to this earth. Thank you. Just give it a moment to sink in. Just give it a moment to feel the specks of beautiful golden light, white light going through your body, mixing with the blood that came up from Mother Earth, all coming together in this beautiful dance of joy in your body. And it's just rushing and renewing and doing what it needs to do. It's swirling within your body. And now I just want you to take this moment to give yourself this huge hug and say to yourself, thank you. Thank you for making it through today. Thank you for showing up today. Thank you for being here. You are meant to be here. And then I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath. Keep breathing in. Keep breathing in until you can't breathe anymore. And then let it all out. And I want you to make a noise as you let out that breath. I want you to. That is beautiful. I'm going to ask you to now do it again and take a deep breath all the way in until you cannot breathe anymore. And let it all out. And the last time, breathe in the deepest breath you can take. It's going all the way to your feet. It's going through everything. Remember, the blood needs oxygen. Breathe it all in. And let it all out. And when you're ready, open your eyes to this wondrous, wondrous world. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much, Tisiwadzi. This was amazing. Wonderful to have you with us today. And thank you for members of your tribe joining us. I can see another lady there from Switzerland. If you want to just introduce yourself, we'd love to know who you are. I don't want to mispronounce your name.
Hi, I'm Celia from Switzerland, a friend of Watson, a co-author of the last book. I'm already in bed. That's why I didn't turn on my camera.
No, it's just wonderful to have you with us. Thank you so much.
You're
We
welcome.
have a comment from Tendai Whitney on Facebook. Thank you so much, Tendai, for tuning in as well. So, with that, we're going to move on to our next speaker. I know that the ladies in Europe, it's late. Please stay with us if you can. If you have to go, we understand. But it
Can I
was an
just say something quickly? I didn't say anything. What? Thank you so much. It's like you were telling my story about not being open enough. I had I mean, like depression, and I was hiding it from my kids until my son almost dragged me to say, yes, you have to tell us. And it was just like rape case, a child telling you that no, you are not the only one who love, we love you too. And it was like so scary, but it just brought me home. And I think the self-love is not being selfish. Self-love is crucial. And thank you for sharing that. And I mean, I wanted to say as well, when you're breathing out, breathe in with your mouth, then you breathe in with your nose and out when you make. It's just so good. It feels good. I do meditation as well. So thank you so much. Brilliant.
thank you, Selena. Miss Mary, do you want to say a few words? Yes, I can see your hand coming up there. Unmute so we hear you.
She's not, she hasn't unmuted.
Unmute, Mary. You're still muted. Let's see.
Just a second.
There we go. Now we can hear
Okay.
you.
All right. I did Vipassana in 2005. But my experience was totally different. I picked the wrong dissertation. It was all Hindu, and I was the only black person there, and I didn't know what to expect. And when we went to the meditation hall, he went the growling. You remember that, the growling? It scared me to death, and we couldn't laugh or talk for 10 days. And when I got my room, the rooms are real thin. I'm sleeping in my little quarter. They call it your cell. I'm sleeping in my cell, and I'm in the bed, and then I hear the lady next to me. She snored and did all this farting, and then I hear another voice in the room. Another woman comes in the room, and I hear sounds of lovemaking. I said, they are having sex. And they did it every night. And then when it was over, we could talk and everything. They're sitting next to me, and they said that they were lovers, and they drove, I think, 600 miles to go through this Vipassana. They do it every year. And they were in the room having sex, and asked me, did I hear it? I said, yeah, I heard it. And I told them about it. And we all end up, the whole thing was funny because it looked like every time I did something, everybody would laugh. I don't know what that was, but on the 8th day, I did get a breakthrough. But the whole time I was miserable. And if you didn't get in line early, you had to fight for food. So you went out of food, and then I learned to skip people and snatch. It was a basic food fight. Was it like that? You was? Did you go through that? Was it?
No, I didn't, but I can say, because it's also where you only have veggies, right? It's the
Yes.
most flatulent I've ever been. I was flatulent as
Yeah,
hell because
gas,
all they
right.
gave us were
And,
vegetables. I'm a meat
and they
eater.
give
I'm
you
sorry.
prunes. Did y'all get a lot of prunes? They gave us a lot of prunes. That's all we ate. And it was horrible. Girl, I said, oh. And I didn't like this part. When you go up front, You got to crawl up to him and you do this breathing exercise. And when you get through, you cannot turn your back to him. You have to walk backwards. And when I got ready to go, I just turned around and they told me to go back and walk backwards. I said, no, I'm not going to walk backwards. And then they told me, you're not supposed to be talking. I said, well, just watch me walk away. And that's what I did. It was like, no, I'm not going to do that. It was,
No, it wasn't like that for
it
me,
wasn't,
Mary.
oh, mine was
Yeah.
fun.
No, I refused to sit on the floor. I was like, I need a
Yeah, I
chair.
sat in a
It's all
chair.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can't cross my legs. I'm too tall. I'm 6 foot, right? I
Yeah.
can't sit on the floor for hours. I can't do that. So I sat
Yeah.
in a chair and I did not go to the front. I was like,
They were,
do
and
you?
we were meditating one day, and the lady came and snatched my glasses off my face, just snatched them like she was on, and it hurt my nose. And you're not supposed to talk. I said, give me my glasses back. She said, well, you have your eyes closed and you cannot see. I said, you know me. I said, damn it, when I open my eyes, I want to see. So give me my glasses back. And I was, oh, it was, but like I say, on the 8th day, I understood it. But Vipassana was, it was an adventure. But thank you for telling your story, man. I really enjoyed it, man. The breathing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Auntie. I know you might have to go. It's late there, but
Yeah, I got to take
always
my
wonderful
medicine.
to reconnect with you.
All
It's
right,
Looking
okay.
ladies.
forward
Yeah,
to joining your WhatsApp group.
yeah. You all do this once a month or what?
Yeah, we're doing these events every month, Mary. We do a 10
Okay.
days straight. Oh, no,
Oh,
11 days straight.
11 days. So we'll
Yeah.
do it again tomorrow.
You'll be back again tomorrow.
Yes.
I'll send you the link,
Okay.
but you can stay because we're not finished. So, our next speaker is coming from the United States. Dr. Justine Green is an educator,
It's
an
breaking up.
author, and a
Okay,
disability
send me the
advocate.
link and good. I'll talk to you ladies later. Okay, I enjoyed it.
All right,
Bye
Miss
bye.
Mary. See you. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay,
Yes,
so
you
I'll
have a
just
long
read the bio for our next speaker. Her name is Dr. Justine Green. She's an educator, an author, a disability advocate based in Baton Rouge, Florida, where she currently serves as the principal of the Taman Academy. So she has a condition that affected her inner ear. So she was born with an ear defect. And knowing that she was different from birth and having multiple surgeries has led her to the vocation that she is on now. So I'm going to share her video. Unfortunately, she couldn't be with us. But after we've watched the video, we will come online and have our panel discussion as usual. So, Justine, I know you will watch this afterwards. Thank you so much for your contribution. Here we go.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Dr. Justine Green, and I am 30 years old, based in Boca Raton, Florida. And I have two beautiful children, 21 months. Her name's Millie, and my son is 3 years old. His name's Theo. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. I was born with atresia and microtia. They're two conditions that affect the ear. One is that I am missing the actual canal into my ear, so I do not have an eardrum, making me deaf on this side. And I was born with a deformed ear as well. So I actually went through 3 reconstructive surgeries before the age of 9. I was in and out of hospitals, doctors' offices. Even when I was born, I was whisked away from my mom before she even got to hold me, because they noticed that my ear was deformed, and ears actually shape and develop at the same time of kidneys in the belly in pregnancy. So they were concerned about any other health issues. So I immediately from birth knew that there was something different about me. I was very fortunate for my parents to be my advocates, especially in my education, making sure that I never felt like I was at a disadvantage. They even made me feel special. I had a special ear. to the point where a cousin of mine even wanted a special ear. She was jealous about my special ear. So it was always something positive in at home, which I think was really helpful for me in my development. I went on to become an educator. I got my bachelor's of science in special education, elementary education. I went on to Columbia University Teachers College for my master's in educational policy. And I actually finished up my doctorate at the University of Miami in educational leadership, focusing on students with disabilities. It's always been something that is very near and dear to my heart. And as I was doing my doctoral thesis, I came across disability identity theory. And in this theory, people with disabilities do not reach the acceptance stage until their late 20s on average. And this was like an aha moment for me. And I actually have the chills even talking about this, that I said, that's not fair. We should learn to love ourselves from such an early age, that for them to go from this anger, why me? Why me? You know, I went through that too. That I feel like I'm a good person. Why me? Why am I different? To all of a sudden understanding that everyone's perfect the way that they are. But it took me a very long time. I used to hide my hair. I used to hide everything about me. Kids and people at school were always mean, but the things that they would say were not, you know, malicious. But instead, I took it that way because I was so sensitive. And it wasn't until I started really becoming who I meant to be. And that's why you're going to see butterflies in all my books, is because I really feel like it's my spirit animal. I was going through life as like this caterpillar. And then it wasn't until I accepted myself for who I really am that I turned into this butterfly. And I feel like it's clicked and I have flourished and really created what I've wanted to do always, which is creating tools of educating young children about people with disabilities based on real children and their real disabilities. So my story is completely me, and it's actually based on when I was 5 years old. It shows you that I'm real. This little girl really felt that way, and that she's your friend. She's here to tell you that you are great the way you are. And even as my second one, this little girl named Emerson, she really is a little girl in real life. And she talked to me and interviewed with me so I could write her story. And a lot of the words and phrases in the book are her own words of how she would explain her disability to her friends and peers.
Wow, what an amazing story. I love the way that you have harnessed your unique selling point, the thing that makes you different from everybody else, and reflected it back to the world as a positive and not a negative. And that is the problem with acceptance of diversity in this world. I think we need more stories like yours. And like you're saying, for kids to be able to accept themselves at a younger age and just know that different is good. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Yeah, it's interesting.
Concept.
I remember when I moved to New Zealand 21 years ago, my little son was 3 years old. And so he is here, the only little black boy in his class. He hated it. He hated not being able to fit in. And he had a big fluffy little afro, and everybody kept touching him. Wherever we went in a supermarket, he had no personal space. And he was a cute little kid anyway. And he one day came home from preschool and said, "Mom, shave it off. Take it all off." I had to shave my son's hair. And it just broke my heart. It was the one thing that made him so gorgeous and so different. But he just wanted to blend in. He just wanted to be like everybody else. And his hair was another thing that got in the way. It really broke my heart. But I do love what you've done with really using your point of difference. And now you work with children. Tell us a little bit about how you help parents, how you help educators, anybody who's dealing with kids. Give us a little bit of a spiel on that.
Sorry, you actually broke up. Did you say something after that? I'm sorry.
Yeah. I said, tell us a little bit about how you work with parents and educators in helping
Yeah,
children.
so I'm actually a principal of an elementary school here. I am
Okay.
that by morning, and by the afternoon, I'm the general studies teacher in our kindergarten first grade class, all before I go home to the kids. So I'm constantly surrounded by children, parents, and everything. And the one thing that I like constantly bring up is that children may come off as rude or mean when they say certain things, but it's only because of a lack of knowledge, that we should take these moments as teachable moments and explain to them that, hey, if you see a child walking down the street or rolling down the street with a disability, instead of saying, oh, don't stare, don't look, say, let's go say hi. Let's go introduce ourselves. Look, they look about the same age as you. You have those sneakers. Let's ask her what her favorite book is. Let's find some commonalities. That if people just took the time to communicate with others, then there would be so much more acceptance and love in this world. And I feel like when people see others with disabilities or differences, they're so quick to say, what happened? What's wrong with you? Why are you like that? And
Yes.
the first part of seeing and meeting a new person, regardless of what they look like, feel like, sound like, is asking them their name, telling them your name. How are you doing today? I would love to learn more. Like, just using all of those opportunities to learn.
Yeah.
And that the more they learn, the more they'll understand. And I actually write that in one of my stories, is they just didn't know. The more they
Yes.
learn, they'll understand. And I
Yeah.
really truly believe that children are just saying certain things or acting in a way because different is unknown.
Yes.
So they're immediately quick to say something or do something, but sometimes you need to, regardless of how much it might hurt. And believe me, I remember everything that anyone ever said to me about my ear. I act like it never hurt or whatever, but it really does. They all just hurt a bit, but I really try to swallow it down and use it as a teachable moment. And even one day in high school, I remember I was sitting there eating my lunch like a normal day, and someone I didn't even know walked up to me in front of the whole cafeteria and said, yo, you're the girl with the rubber ear, right?
Oh, wow.
And I feel like I sank down. I felt like I was such a small person after that. And it wasn't fake. I went through 3 surgeries. They took out cartilage from my ribs. This is part of me. This was me. That's not fake, not rubber. And so I actually, afterwards, I ended up finding that child. And I said, it's not fake. It's real. And it came from me. And I told them about my surgeries. And he's like, they just don't know.
It's
and
ignorance. Yeah.
Ignorance, a lot of it.
Yeah. And that education is so, so important. And I think it's something that as parents, as educators, we need to foster that inquisitiveness and give kids the right words to use to express their inquisitiveness. I think that's an important thing as well, just knowing the right way to approach someone and the right things to say. Wow. So if you were to go back to that little girl that you were experiencing the hardships of this disability, based on what life has taught you, what 3 nuggets of wisdom would you give her?
Ooh. I think one thing is keep your head up, you'll do great things. That's one thing. I feel like a lot of people can just hear that and foster it and bring it inside. And if you believe it and you dream it and you work hard for it, you can achieve. So I want to tell that little girl, like, you're a hard worker. You've got this. You're going to do some great things. The second one is I would tell my younger self that as soon as the technology is available, to get hearing aids as soon as possible. When I was younger, the technology wasn't actually available yet. So it needed Bluetooth technology to be able to communicate from one side to the other. Before
Right.
that, it would have been just like headgear, so no one used to recommend it to parents. So it
Okay.
wasn't until earlier this year that I finally got hearing aids, and
Oh,
it has changed
wow.
my life. Just recently, this year, could you believe it? And
That's
we have a cross.
incredible.
I actually tape it with fashion tape, and this is a microphone that communicates to my real one. And I even got it black to like go and hide in my hair. You don't even know.
Yeah.
It has helped with my tinnitus 100%. Like it's almost gone. I am hearing people even without the masks, which has been really difficult.
Yes. Because
And
you'd have to lip read, right? If you have a hearing impairment.
I am a lip reader. I have always been. I have always utilized accommodations. And that's another thing I would actually tell myself is that never be ashamed of utilizing accommodations. You are a
Now,
federally.
explain what that means.
So in schools, I don't know how it works in Australia, but I'm pretty sure it's most locations. But at least in the US, the people with disabilities are federally protected people. And in schools, especially public schools, you are eligible for certain accommodations and modifications to quote unquote level the playing field, to
Okay.
allow you to meet all of the other needs that allow you to have an adequate education.
Okay.
For me, I needed to sit in a specific spot. I needed to have my good ear to the teacher and to the classroom. So it was always that front left spot. That's my spot. Don't take it. and I mean, I kick people out of my spot. It's my spot. And then I always had a note taker because I wasn't able to look down and write. I would miss what they were saying as I was writing. So I
Oh,
needed someone else to be my note taker so that I could focus on the teacher and be present, or else I would miss every other sentence the teacher would say. So
that's
from having
incredible.
written down, I had a specific spot. But you know, it's also really embarrassing. So, or well, you feel embarrassed or you
Yeah.
feel like you're a bother. And I found that a lot in my dissertation and doing my studies, but we're not a bother. Like
No.
we should not be embarrassed. These accommodations are necessary for our education and
Yeah.
for us to persevere and to excel. And we should never be ashamed of what is needed for us. And I think
Yes.
that's a mindset switch. It's like, yeah, look at me. I have to get this spot. That's okay. Like, you know,
Oh,
that was a difficult thing for me.
how fascinating. And you know, these are things that we don't really understand or even think about.
Mhm.
It's you've just opened a whole new world to me today in my understanding of the challenges that people go through. And thank you for that. So now let me take you to your future before we end our interview. If time was an illusion and we could teleport into the future, and you could have a conversation with that 120-year-old you, because you are going to live longer with technology and medicine. And you could have a conversation with that woman, you know, based on how you have lived your life. What would you say to her?
I feel like I would just have so many questions for her. I don't know what I would say. I would ask, do you feel fulfilled? Did you feel love? Did you feel happy? And those are the ones and the parts that are the most important when it comes to our lives. And I just hope that I do have a happy and love-filled long life with my children and hopefully grandchildren. If I'm 120, I better have some great grandchildren too. I'm not kidding. But I just hope for a very fulfilled life. And I wrote these stories so that I can help others. Even if I only change one life, everything up to that point was worth it.
Worth it. Yes.
So
yes.
I'm hoping that I am able to make changes in the world and have them all be positive. I hope to spread lots of love and understanding and knowledge about differences.
Fantastic. Welcome back, ladies. So let's unmute and share what we got out of this last presenter. Let's go around the room. Comfort, if you could be my moderator.
Absolutely, absolutely. It looks like it looks like we're having more comments coming in. That was really really powerful. Thank you so much for sharing. So I guess we'll go around the room and just hear if anybody has comments. Sister Lena, would you like to start?
Yeah, what a powerful, focused woman. I just, appreciate her courage and just the giving spirit. Now she's giving back to other children, looking at, like loving. That's, I mean, love heals. So it's like her love for herself, for her family, for other people is just oozing out. That's the spirit which is driving her to do what she's doing. So thank you so much, girl, and keep it going. Thank you.
I think the biggest take home I got was just understanding the challenges people with disabilities actually experience. Things that we take for granted when you've got all of your faculties.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned a lot, and especially about nonverbal communication.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our communication is nonverbal than it is spoken.
Mm,
So that was my biggest take home.
awesome. Thank you, Sis Gertrude. I don't know, Sis Ruth, would you like to share your reflections on the last presenter?
Yes, Dr. Green, the way she took her disability and turned it into a vocation and a way of helping others.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so beautiful because most of the times, you find yourself with a disability or a disadvantage, and you can there's sometimes a tendency to wallow in it, in the negativity of the situation. Why me? All the kind of questions. Why am I not normal? And all that. But she turned her situation around, and today she's helping so many other people and even motivating and inspiring us. Thank you, Dr. Green, for such a wonderful presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, yeah, let me also say it, Dr. Green. Thank you. That was really insightful for me um, as a mother raising a little one still. I was really touched by your comment on, so, young children are very honest. As adults, if we were to see someone who is less abled, we might try to avoid, and try not to act like we're looking, but sometimes we're looking, but children want to be, they're very inquisitive. They want to know what's going on. And my reaction has always been in my discomfort of, especially my younger son, he will always be like, ask questions, why? And so thanks for the recommendation to actually take my kids and go and just say hi, because we've really never thought about the other person on the other side. I think that was my takeaway. So thank you so much. I will have to keep that in mind. Yes. Sigurd, I will give you back the mic. I don't know who our next presenter is. Yeah.
We have Lydia commenting on Facebook. She said, also, there's disability which shows up in adulthood and having to fight within oneself to accept and be at peace with it, whilst your community wants you as you were before. Thank you, Lydia. Very
That's
interesting
powerful.
observation. Selena, do you have anything to add before we go on?
No, I think I did firstly. So I'm appreciative. Like Lydia is saying, people don't realize that it's a process. It might be a mental thing, which is like a disability. And when people see you change, they think, okay, why is she pretending? Why is she acting like that? They don't see the depth of how you are just fighting within and challenging yourself to do certain things. I remember when my mom was not well and my father was saying, come on, Simba same cards, man. And my mother was dying. She never came back home. She went, I was with her, I was young, but that memory of saying, okay, she didn't even see that she was changing. She was a strong woman. And so it's like people don't realize that it's so powerful just to say, if somebody say, I'm not well, this is changing, we should just appreciate that and then support them as much as we can.
Mhm.
Mm.
You
Thanks.
know, Selena, you remind me of my grandparents, my
Mm,
paternal grandparents. So my grandmother was in hospital,
mm,
and my grandfather went to see her,
mm.
and then he says to her, she's in hospital, and he says to
Mhm.
him, so on Wednesday we are going home. We're going back home to the village. The rains are here. We need to start tending
Going.
the. Can you believe it? She is in
I
hospital.
know. Tell me about it.
It's
It's
I mean,
it's a
I
commitment.
hated my father for a long time because of that. I hated him because everybody, it's like when I went home. I was in a boarding school. I went home in August. I found my mother couldn't stand, couldn't do anything, so I had to help her. Imagine at that tender age, I was only 13 or so, in Form One. Then I helped her. Then I said, Dad, I think we need to take Mom to hospital, and the nearest town was Vishavani. So I had to say, okay, we get buses. My father didn't have a car, so we had to go in the buses. And then when we got there, we'll go walking to the clinic. He would say, "Come on, strong, be strong," you know. And every time after she passed on, I was in Form One up to Form Four. When I was passing through that, I would never forget it. I would just, it was hard.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think both of you sisters, you touch on something that I call toxic culture, part of a culture that is toxic, and that is the one. I think there's a fine line, of when we keep telling our kids, be strong. Even like boys don't cry, be strong. And for me, that phenomenon of strong black woman, when I came to the US, it really set with me as I learned more about it in my gender classes, and realizing just how toxic it is for us. I think we even have a terminology here called weatherization, like the way the rocks weather out really. And this is the compounded health impact that the be strong consistently over generations in the black woman's life has been, because we've always been told to be strong, and so we see ourselves having ailments like and taking like untreated, like diabetes, untreated
Mm.
mental health
Mm.
issues, and that just kind of it's catastrophic, if we look at how it impacts us.
In a way, comfort. It's good
Yes.
because we couldn't be here if we were not, taught to be strong.
I
I wouldn't be
suppose,
here for
yeah.
one. I wouldn't have raised
Yeah,
my
you're right.
kids on my own for
Right.
that. But I
Right.
thought, okay, I'm a strong person. I can do
Mhm.
that. I can,
Right.
but then it's like sometimes, yes, we forget to say self love, self care.
I think it's like that's why I said, I think I said that's why I said like the fine, there has to be, we have to find a fine line, right, so
Yes.
that the next generation we can teach them, yes, be strong, be hardworking, but or and
Yeah.
also be vulnerable and be soft, and give
Yes.
yourself
Yeah.
grace. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
Absolutely agree with you, Sister Selena. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely true. So we have another comment from Lydia on Facebook. She said, "Forgive them and thank God that we now know better and have a task to educate others." Yeah, I think that that's important too, because when you think about the resources our parents had, that was all they knew.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
thank you for that reminder, Lydia. So, with that, we will move on to our next speaker, the beautiful Miss Comfort Dodo. Please grace us with your presentation.
All right.
Um, you are new to the Her Story Circle. Some people have heard you speak at the last summit in November, but it gives me
Yes.
great pleasure to introduce you. You know, when I met you, I felt like I was looking at a reflection of myself, your energy, your spirit, the work that you do to empower women
Mhm.
who are in very, very bad situations most of the time.
Yes.
Women's empowerment is not an easy space to be in.
Mhm.
And it takes a lot of courage and a calling, really, to
Mhm.
be able to step up, and say, I will take on this role.
Mhm.
So thank you for being here. You are an advocate against violence against women.
Mhm.
I know that you have done a lot in your short life in terms of advocating for
Mhm.
women's rights and children's rights as well. You are a public speaker, you're a life coach, you
Mhm.
help with grant writing, training, and educational consultancy. So it gives me great pleasure to have you back to share your story with us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Sis Gertrude. Thank you so much. Yes, so yeah, my name is Comfort Dondo, and I'm the founding executive director of a culturally specific nonprofit organization. It's called Pumulani, Minnesota African Women Against Violence. We were incorporated in Minneapolis, Minnesota, USA, but it does work globally, and our primary focus of service is to African women in the diaspora, but not only exclusively to African women in the diaspora. We've worked with Indigenous women, Latina women, Asian women, anyone who walks through our doors, we help. I want to start by saying the woman that you see sitting here in front of you is not how I've always presented. About at least even 6 or 7 years ago, I was in a place that I want to call my rock bottom. I found myself in a domestic violence shelter with my children, and it was a decision I decided to make after I realized that either I was going to die or leave. And that is what started my journey, back up from rock bottom. I think there's a gift when we reach rock bottom. I am a fan of the Word of God, and so I think about a lot of rock bottom stories, like the story of Joseph, when his brothers threw him in the pit, and he ended up, being a governor. So I always thought of that. My experience in the domestic violence shelter helped me realize that the domestic violence shelters here in the U.S., or at least here in Minnesota where I lived, they well meaning, but they were designed by women who did not look like my sisters from the community I came from. They were designed for mainstream white women, and most of the times they didn't consider the family size of African immigrant women. They didn't consider the foods that we fed our children. So when I was in this shelter, it was so uncomfortable that I started comparing my home where my abuser was to the shelter. There were also so many rules in the shelter. I like to say it felt like a jail kind of system. It was like a dormitory. And because I had 3 children under 5, I really couldn't quite be comfortable there. So, of course, the spirit in me, or the spirit that speaks in me, breathed in an idea, and that was when I started to think about what programming can I bring to my sisters in Minnesota here. And so I incorporated Pumulani, which means love or peace, give or peace or comfort. And the nonprofit started, as a result of me experiencing frustrations with what was missing in the system. So I think for me, the theme in my life has been, how do we turn our pain to purpose? How do we turn our pain to purpose? I'm a new author of a book called Facing the Giants, and this book is kind of like is a summary of my life purpose. It is a summary of how I've managed to not stay in that rock bottom place, but actually find my way back up. And so I really have been using my pain for purpose. I've really used my pain to a place where I decided to stand on it, not sit in it, to stand on my pain, to acknowledge that I've gone through the pain, but then at some point stand on top of it as a platform so that I can talk about it in ways that help others identify their own pain. So that's what I've been doing with my life right now. In fact, this afternoon, just before coming onto the platform, I just finished signing a deal with an investor who just wanted to bless my work. Wanted to bless my work with a property, a very big property that's going to be able to house at least 6 women and their children, very nicely equipped. It was on the market, and this I want to call him an angel. just blessed me because they really believed in my work. Again, I'll go on to say the woman that is sharing this story today is not at all who I was at least 5 or 6 years ago. I think what has transformed me has been my ability to be authentic about my situation, my ability to share, because in our African community, a lot of women die in silence because there's a pressure to keep up appearances. I'm not going to say my journey was easy. Let me talk a little bit about that. My journey was not easy. Choosing to leave a marriage, it was not the easiest thing because there's stigma attached to that. When I became a divorcee, I lost a lot of friends. I was outcasted from community. I even had some people really ridicule me, and people that had before that had been like looking up to me, they started to like really talking down, and so I became an outcast. But I think there's also an important thing that you have to listen to your spirit within you. You have to stick to your spirit within you. And so I did that. And now operating a successful nonprofit, creating other businesses, and becoming, an author and a second time author by the end of next year. And just a speaker, I've been traveling around the world, sharing the platform with women and just sharing my story. I really, really believe that we have to turn any kind of pain that you might be having in your life. I just know that God uses that for purpose. Find a way to use your pain for purpose. And in closing, I'll say, don't wallow in your pain. Try to find a way to step on it. If you've reached rock bottom, or if you're in rock bottom and you're listening to me, I want to say, just look back up and stand on the rock of ages, at that bottom pit. Just stand on the rock, that is God, and then find your way back up. In addition to what this words he said, give yourself grace, because if you're in a valley, sometimes it's slippery when you're trying to get back up. Sometimes you're trying to climb back up. Maybe you're dealing with addiction, and you're trying to climb back up from that pit of addiction. Just give yourself grace. If you fall back, give yourself grace. Find what I call in my book fire fanners. Find people who can fan your fire, and make sure that you keep that concentric circle very tight, because I think in climbing back up, you need a lot of support. And you have to realize that it's possible. If I could do it, you can do it too. So that's a little bit about my story. Thank you so much for letting me share.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know, every time I hear your story, I find another layer to who you are and why you do what you do. A lot of times, women, especially when you're out of your home country, have no support. Immigrant women are very, very vulnerable no matter where we are in the world. And what you've managed to do is really create a safe space for people just to stop and pause, reframe, find a way out of the situation that they're in. So, I have a couple of questions for you. Along this journey, there's been a lot of challenges, I'm sure. This has not been an easy road. What sustains you? What keeps you going personally?
Thank you. Thank you, Sis Gertrude, for that question. Um, what keeps me going? I think I know. There's a few things, but the main one that keeps me grounded is having a relationship with my Creator. I spend a lot of time in the Word of God, and that keeps me going. I believe that we're spiritual beings having a human experience, not the other way around. And so I believe that every problem that one can face, it has its roots in the spiritual realm. And so if you are really connected to the Word of God, anything that comes at you, you have a way to fight it back from the spirit first, and then it manifests in the physical. But when you have dealt with it in the spiritual space, it's much easier. So that keeps me grounded. That keeps me grounded. Yeah.
And if you were to look back at your life, let's say when you are 90, 100 years old,
Mm.
and if I could take you into that future, and make you sit with this wise woman who has done so much for so many women, what would you say to her? Because she guided you up to that point.
Wow. I would let me answer it this way. I always imagine myself in a rocking chair and telling some good stories. And so I will give her I would thank her for giving me the ability to dream big and not limit myself. I would thank her for wisdom, because then that in itself is what would have given me the ability to sit in that rocking chair by the ocean and just tell some damn good stories to all my great grandchildren. So,
Love that.
yeah,
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you. She is guiding you.
yes,
She is guiding you. Ruth, give us
absolutely.
some feedback, and then Selena.
Thank you. Thank you, Gertrude. Thank you, Comfort, and for the space that you are holding, working with the battered women or the abused. I wanted to ask, in terms of the rejection that came with your moving out of the conventional, the normal
Mhm,
curve, when you decided to leave your abusive marriage.
mhm,
If you were to talk to other women that are in a similar situation where they are being abused, what is the advice you'd give them, or how would you help them to get out of that situation? Because
mhm,
there's a number of women, family, friends that
mhm.
one knows, and that they are stuck in this cycle.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a really, thank you for the question, Sister Ruth. There's my best case study was my mother. My mother was abused for 4 decades by my dad, and respectfully so. My dad rest in peace. And I've always shared this even as he was alive. So I'm fine with that. Um, I remember being in Zimbabwe with my mother after my first undergraduate degree, and I had kept a sacred promise to go and rescue my mom, no matter what. And my mom, I never told her that that was my plan, but for some reason, she just started sharing the tales of her abuse since she had her twins, her first babies. She shared in detail that I just listened into the. I started hearing the cock crowing in the morning. So we had been talking since like 11 until morning. She was sharing and pouring her heart, and she was the first woman that I gave permission to say, "Mom, you did a good job. Your last born, your baby. I'm finished undergrad. You need to let yourself free so you can gracefully age in peace." And I use the same approach with women. I give them permission. So I don't get to tell them to leave. I get to show them. It's like I give them a mirror to reflect. I get to show them how domestic abuse and trauma impacts their children. I get to show them through my own story how staying for the children is the worst idea, because children are watching and the imprint is in their head. I just get to give them the permission. They say the statistics say that it takes at least up to 7 times before a woman leaves. An abusive relationship is very complex and very messy, and it's very, very, very toxic. And because of that, it's really hard to get out. But normally, I just give the women permission. um each scenario is different. I had a sister recently who was really having a hard time living, and I had a case the week before of another sister from her same community being stabbed 17 times. So I gave her permission by sharing those stories and said, it could come to that, and so the choice is yours. And I give my sisters, I just hold their hands. They lead the process, and I hold their hand and I allow them to think through the different scenarios. I also use my life story, my success after I left, as a beam of light to say, if you cross this bridge, you could be this. You could be the best version of yourself. And then I think when the women are ready, That is what makes them leave. But I love your question because it's not easy. It's very, very difficult. Yeah.
And that question really is what I think when you talk to a number of them is, what do I do after? Then what? Then what happens? If I
Hmm.
leave, then what?
Yes.
And they like they're stuck in mud, or they're in
Hmm.
concrete. In
Yeah.
that moment, it's like
Yeah.
to them there's no life after
There's no
this.
hope.
Uh,
Hmm.
there's no hope after this
Hmm.
marriage, after this relationship.
Yeah.
Who will love me? Who will take care of me? What will
Yes.
happen to my children and all that? And
Absolutely.
and it's not only among those that are not even economically empowered.
Hmm.
Um, Even the economically empowered, educated women find
Hmm.
themselves in this situation, and they ask themselves,
Hmm.
then what?
Yes.
If I leave, then what?
It's very,
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm. Yeah, it's like there's a mental prison that happens with abuse, and I've seen it on all socioeconomic classes. I think one of the things that I've managed to do successfully in my work has been to use the power of story sharing to make women see themselves in you. My sister Gertrude talks a lot about Ubuntu, right? When you can see the other person's humanity in yourself. um I'm gonna have another sister that I'm inviting to this platform, and she has a powerful story. I won't even share her story, but I did this practice with her maybe 5 years ago, and she could not see past what was happening. But I am happy to tell you that she's happily married, remarried to a wonderful man, and she has all her babies now. And I was telling her this morning, I was like, I need you to join her story, because there's a lot of women that need to see your story. And we're laughing this morning, and I said, your story now where you are, it's a very good place for women to see the end, from the beginning. So but again, very hard to get a woman out. Hmm.
Okay, Miss Selena.
Yeah, it's powerful. I mean, just to make a decision to say, I've had enough, it takes a lot of courage
Hmm.
and, focus. Because sometimes it's like, okay, because you didn't have any money to go out and, you know, feed yourself, feed your son, but
Hmm.
you just trusted. You said, okay. I
Hmm.
mean, just like me when I left it, I was thinking, should I stay? Because what will people say if I go?
Yeah.
But if I stay, then I'm going to die. Then what?
Yeah.
So, which is, I mean, sometimes it's like we weigh which is better to die in the relationship, or just go out there and be whatever you can be. Try
Hmm.
and do whatever you can do just to make life for yourself.
Hmm.
I mean, I did the same. I left without nothing. I mean,
Mm.
after I had everything a woman could imagine having. I had a big kitchen, a big house, two lounges, beautiful place, and I was very comfortable. And
Mhm.
the problem is like this guy knew I loved him so much, and he didn't
Mm.
want me to prosper. He didn't want me to go to do anything. But it was like, okay, I was getting mental, forgetting where I was, what I was doing. I would
Mhm.
go in the kitchen and think,
Mm.
why did I come in the kitchen? I'll walk around, then go back to sleep. And after an hour in bed, I'll come back and say, oh, I was hungry. That's why I came. So I'll have something to eat. So I ended up saying, okay, if I
Mm.
can stay, I'm going to stay in this relationship, I'll die. I'll die young. Because my kids also, my daughter was she was in grade one, a boarding, weekly boarder. She would come home every Friday and ask, did he hit you, mom? And that really was, I couldn't
Mm.
take it anymore. And then
Yeah.
my son, I used to, share my bed with him. He would wake up with like dreaming in the night, Dad, don't hit mom. It's like,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was, something which I thought, I don't want my kids, to just go through this. I think
Mhm.
enough is enough. So it's like,
Absolutely.
okay, to have that at your age to say, I have to take this in a foreign country.
Yeah.
I had somewhere to go. I was
Mm.
in Zim. I had my brothers, I
Mhm.
had, people around me. But
Mhm.
it's like, okay, it's just like it was a matter of life or death. And
Yes.
well done, you. Keep
Thank
shining.
you.
I'm sure
Thank
those
you.
people I mean, I know it's natural. People, they don't want to see you change. They want to laugh at you. They
Yes.
want to pretend that they're feeling for you. And yet, in
Mm.
honestly, they just think, oh, wazviona here, kakarohwa futi.
Mm-hmm.
Kanongogarepo, hakanaka nazvo, kanogarepo. It's like that's how we are.
Mhm. Yeah,
We are good at, like down talking each other. But it's like
absolutely.
sometimes you think, okay, this is my life. I don't live for other people. I live for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And with that
Absolutely.
courage, it's like, oh, well done.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. I'm so proud of you. I cheer
Thank,
you on.
thank you. Thank you, my sister. Thank you so much.
We have more comments coming in from Facebook. Lydia said, being at peace with the pain so you don't stay on why and bitterness, thereby allowing yourself to evolve.
Mm.
And we also have another person on Facebook, another comment. Thank you for all of the speakers today. Your stories are so moving in their own and healing in more ways than one. Thank you. That is what we are trying to achieve.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's through the sharing of our stories that we heal. In Africa, we believe that the minute you share your problem, your story with someone else, you're no longer carrying that story alone.
Yes.
So we hold space for all of these stories. We carry these stories in our hearts. And our hope is that the women who are coming forward to share know that they're no longer alone. So
Mm.
thank you for that beautiful comment. So we have one more speaker, again, coming to us from the United States. We have a lot of US speakers today. And I will introduce Joanne Moore. And her passion is in helping couples plan their dream wedding celebration. She's been described as her peers as the true wedding guru. Joanne strives to bring a couple's vision into reality, and she creatively abounds in any venue, from an elegant Western ranch wedding to unique private home weddings to the over the top luxury weddings that are inspirational, style to perfection, and breathtaking. Her clients often express their expectations are surpassed, and guests often state that the wedding was the best they have ever attended. And these
Mm.
testimonials are manifest in the many industry awards that Joanne has been awarded. So, thank you for sharing your story with us. I know you couldn't be with us, but we have your video. We'll share it now, and then we will come back and give you some feedback about what you have presented. So, here we go.
Honor to meet you and speak with you. I do feel like I'm on your sofa in your living room. But my name is Joanne Moore. I am 64 years old, young. I feel young. I am based in the mountains in Colorado, but luckily for me, I get to travel throughout the United States and sometimes out of the country. And I do luxury weddings everywhere I go, and I bring that happily ever after to the couples. But my story started out as a normal little girl growing up in the United States. I'm one of five children, and I didn't realize that my family had what I call untruths until I became a teenager. And my oldest brother, listening to my parents talking to him about college and what do you want to do when you leave, and what do you want to be when you grow up, and them offering to pay for his college, and he went into law enforcement, got into the police academy. But then years later, it was my turn, and I kept waiting for that conversation. I was so excited to tell them, I know what I want to do. I want to go in the medical field. I want to work and help people and save lives. And that conversation never came. And I remember watching my parents sitting in the living room talking, and I announced myself and asked to speak with them about what I wanted to do when I left high school in just a few months. And my dad looked at me stunned. He got up and left the room. And my mother at that point, as I continued to say, Mom, I need some help. I don't know what to do. Remember, this is before computers and this is before the internet. So we had yellow pages. We had no Google. And my mother then told me that that's not what we do. Those are the 5 words. That's not what we do. And I was stunned. I'd never heard that from her. I mean, I was a little girl that danced and did gymnastics, and I even twirled a baton. I could not understand why all of a sudden there's barriers for me. And it was with that that I had to learn how to do these things on my own. I had no help whatsoever to figure out what my journey and my path for me to fulfill what my dreams were for me. It was okay to do that for my brothers, but it wasn't okay for me. I had learned that the journey from the generations before me had to be mine, that women were expected right out of high school, if we chose to graduate high school, we were to soon after get married and start a family and stay home and take care of the house, the husband, and the children. And although I wanted those things, I wanted more. And it was an incredibly uphill battle for me and my journey to disclose what the untruth was in my family.
Wow, what a journey you've been on. But it sounds to me like you managed to turn that around, created an incredible life, an incredible business, mother of 5. You know, I kind of cyber stalked you when I got the application that you would be on the show. How did that all come to being? You defied all the odds of what life had prepared you for. How was that possible?
It is a strong will that came from the gut. I can't even explain it. I knew there was more for me in my life, that although yes, I wanted these things, I wanted more. I wanted to contribute. And it was in speaking with people and learning, I knew I needed 3 things. I needed a car, I needed a job, and I needed an education outside of high school. And even my guidance counselor at my high school sided with my parents and said, well, you know, your parents don't want that for you, so good luck. Yeah, and so it was my struggle that I did find a way to buy a car. I did find a job. I started out making $1.35 at one of those big box, you know, department stores. And I found that there was a vocational school just a couple of blocks away from where I was working. I immediately interviewed with them. They had a course on respiratory therapy. I had no idea that was even something, and learned all about it, got everything I could, talked to the professors, toured the facility, signed up. 2 weeks before I graduated, I announced to my parents what I was going to do. And that was a very sad time for me, that here I was getting ready to graduate high school and my parents were angry with me. They wouldn't go to my graduation. They were punishing me for not following what the family tradition was, that women, these are our roles, stay in your lane, don't cause trouble. And I couldn't do that. So I went on and went to school, graduated in less than a year. I was determined that no one was going to stop me. I was 19 years old when I started working in the hospital. Several years later, to get to an incredible turning point for me, several years later, I get a call from my mom that my dad is very, very sick and that he wants to come see me. And I'm at a hospital that he has no business being at. And I encouraged him to go to a different hospital. Here's the doctor. Go see this doctor. And my 2 hours later, my dad shows up at the hospital I'm working at, and he has all kinds of issues with high blood pressure. His pulse is going off the charts. It was like 240 over 140 blood pressure. And I did an EKG on him because that's my job. I was working in cardiopulmonary at this particular hospital, which is heart and lung. And I saw he's having arrhythmias. And I told him, I said, Dad, you're going to have a stroke right here. Let me get you an ambulance and get you to the hospital I told you to go to. And he was defiant and drove himself. He was intensive care, cardiac intensive care, for over 2 weeks. When I finally got to see him a few weeks later, I asked him, why on earth did you wait so long to get medical help? He disclosed his family untruth that floored me. He said, that since he was a little boy, he was told that all the men in his family pass away by the
Please
age of
welcome,
45.
welcome,
He
welcome.
was 48
Thank
years
you
old and
for
thought he
having
cheated
me.
3 extra years. He
Tell
accepted
everybody of
that
your name,
untruth.
where you're based,
So
how
what
old
I
you
fought
are, and
so
share
hard to
your story
do,
with us
working
today.
cardiopulmonary, heart and lung, ended up saving
Well,
his life by making him get help. And maybe that was the drive and the determination that I was supposed to have, was to save my father's life. He passed 10 years later, but he had all this other time to enjoy his family and his children. And he woke up to the fact that, well, maybe it wasn't such a bad idea to let her go to school and
Oh
do
my
what she wanted to
gosh.
do. Yes, that's,
What a
and then,
beautiful
well,
story.
how are other young
yeah,
moms
it was,
done?
but it
Yes,
was like nothing I could explain.
everybody
It
who's
was a
tuned in
drive
today.
like I've never had before. And
Mm.
then years later, I moved out of state into the beautiful area of Vail, Colorado, and they didn't have my job available, and I was okay with that. And so I learned how to become a wedding planner, which was my second passion, and I never
Ah.
looked back. And now that's my journey.
So tell us about your luxury weddings. What do you offer? I am such a die-hard romantic. I just love weddings. What
Oh,
does your service offer?
well, I too love weddings, and I got into it quite by accident because in small communities and small towns, you are required to help out with community events. So I started volunteering with festivals and parades and music things and art festival, all those kinds of things, and I loved it. And someone asked me to help plan their wedding because they have no idea, and they love my organizational skills, and they love my creativity. And I was so flattered that someone noticed that about me. And I said, absolutely, I'm in for a challenge. And I planned their wedding. And I remember it like it was yesterday. We had fish bowls with fish. They were kayakers, so they got married under two kayaks. And I'm like, I can do this. And so I remember going home and telling my husband, I said, I want to do this. I want to make a career out of this. And this
Yeah,
is, my husband's an amazing man, and he never tells me no. And he says, well, I think you need to get the education that you need to be successful.
yeah.
And again, still no internet. So we searched and found a class that I could take, and that's how I got started. And I learned everything I needed to learn to start a business. My first year, I opened my sign, put my sign out, open for business. I booked 30 weddings that first year.
Are you serious?
It was a need. It was a need in the community I lived in. And I
Oh,
knew the community well, and everyone knew me for my abilities, and they all recommended me without advertising. 30 weddings my first year was too many. I cried a lot, but but it was a wonderful transition. Like, oh my goodness, I can do this, and I never looked back. I am blessed with working with the most amazing couples with their love stories and their journey and their inspirations for wanting to bring their love and show it off to the world, to their family and friends. It's just a remarkable career.
so how has the current situation in the world impacted your business? COVID-19 has had a lot of entrepreneurs have to pivot and be really creative. What is the situation in the US? Are people still able to have their weddings? Let's go into that a little bit.
Well, it's different everywhere. In the US, every community, every town, every city, every state has different rules and regulations. And for me to be able to travel from one state to the other, I really have to dig deep and find out what I'm allowed and are not allowed to do. What I can
Mm.
do in Colorado, and as I said, I was just in Florida, it's completely different in the state of Florida. So, but with that, I make sure that my team and the caterers and the photographers and the florists and everyone is protected with the mask and everything. So I have the
Yes.
high regulations for them, and the guests are asked to follow the curriculum, if you will, for the day. But
Mhm.
that's not always the case. A little couple of drinks here and there, but it is coming back. And my phone is literally ringing off the hook that those that
Mhm.
postponed their wedding are now wanting to rebook. And those that just got engaged during the pandemic, what a story their grandchildren are going to hear someday, are now planning their wedding. So we are colliding with weddings. So everything's getting booked up really quick. But again, we've still got some, but we're hopeful. We are very hopeful, even with the restrictions we still have in place.
Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah.
So, if you could have a conversation with the older you, let's just imagine that time is an illusion, your past, your present exist in the same timeline. And you could have a conversation with you at the age of 100. And you're sitting with your grandchildren, your great grandchildren, your dogs, your cats, reflecting back on your life.
Mm.
What would you say to that amazing woman who has done all of these things?
Wow. I think I would tell them we all have our own journey. Don't let the outside voices tell you different. Listen to your heart, listen to your gut. You know where you need to go. You know you can do it, and you can do it. And then I would say, don't just reach for the stars, be one. That's what I would tell them.
Oh, I love that. Absolutely beautiful. Well, it has been fantastic connecting with you. Thank you so much for what you do for the world of love. We do need more love in this world.
We do.
And it's the people who facilitate to bring that joy in families that really makes a difference.
I agree. And thank you for what you do, my dear. You are a special person, and I appreciate you and your time.
Oh, thank you. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in. I told you we have some amazing women who are just movers and shakers in this world. They bring about joy, they bring love, and they're changing lives one woman at a time, one story at a time. So
And another amazing presenter coming to us from the US.
Wow.
Let's have a conversation around Joanne's business. So, you guys know that I am a diehard romantic. Anything to do with weddings and wedding planning is a passion for me.
And love.
And I love love. I'm sorry, it's the magic that makes the world go round. So I constantly believe in love. What's interesting about your story, Joanne, is your father in his formative years did not see the value in you becoming independent, getting a profession. And yet later on in life, you were that go-to person who could advise them because you went into the nursing profession, which is really interesting sometimes how we start our lives in one direction and then it does a 360-degree turn and you actually start helping the people who were not empowering you in the beginning. So that was really interesting how it went full circle. Miss
Yeah,
Ruth, what feedback can you give us?
and for me, it was like, oh, okay. So this thing of go to okay, get an education, get a basic education, get married, have kids. It's just not a black thing.
No, no, it happens all over the world, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah,
like, okay. So our issues as women, for me, I think because of all these stories that we've heard and shared over the many days that we started this project, Gertrude, is our stories are interlinked.
yeah.
As women, our issues are the same, different colors, different ethnic backgrounds, different cultures, but there's a similar thread that runs through our stories. We are
We
connected
are
as
more similar
women.
than we are different.
Yes.
And
So
that's,
that for me was okay. Oh, and then she was able to stand her ground and then get her independence and able to do what she wanted to, and then change careers. Now she's into a wedding planning. That's awesome. I think maybe share her website, Gertrude, if you have it. I would like to see some of the weddings
yes,
she's done. But thank you so
fascinating
much.
lady.
Mm.
Okay. Selena, any feedback for Joanne? I'll put up her Yes.
I mean, it's like when you defy, the system.
Mm,
That's exactly what she did. It's like, you know, I mean, growing up, we're told don't say no to your parents, and I
yes.
think that was their culture. And when she said no, I'm going to be me. I'm going to cut the cord. It's traditional cord. What else can you ask for? Honestly, powerhouse. And then the father, the pride of saying, my daughter is a nurse. I want to go
Mm.
to a hospital. Nobody could stop him. Even when she said, Dad, go to that hospital, that's where they could treat you better. But he still wanted to go there for her,
Yeah.
for her to look at him, give him care. Now he's a proud father. I mean,
I
it's
think
like Ruth says, it's like that's not just for Africans. It's a universal. It used to be universal. Now, because people don't know their background, they don't know their culture, they don't remember, or they don't want to remember. They think they are always in that state of having it all and not to
mhm.
care about other things. So I think she's a powerhouse. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Honestly, that's very good.
And I think also for the father, that was his way of saying sorry, but
Yeah.
maybe because of the pride, he couldn't say sorry, so he decided.
Exactly.
It was a powerful way to say sorry. It's true.
Yes.
Comfort, what was your feedback for
Oh my
Joanne?
God. Joanne really resonated with me. I thought about this phenomenon that happens in Zimbabwe where if a child does well, as you know, when the kids are growing up, usually the father, if they are girls in some families, will be like, "Vana vako," to the wife. It means your children. And then when one of those kids does well, "Vana vangu," they start claiming them. My dad was one of those who, like, if you did well, he would make sure that he takes ownership of that 100%. I'm like, Dad, really? So it's interesting to see that for Joanne because we come from totally different backgrounds, and I want to agree with the sister Ruth and sister Selena to say, if you I always say if you bring women in one room long enough to build trust and open conversation, you'll see that you have the same story, just different characters, different timelines, different, like different locations, but normally there's a lot of parallels. So I could resonate with Joanne's. I think my takeaway from her powerful life experience in the successful career is she didn't mention intuition directly, but I think she mentioned something about just the knowing, when you just have a knowing, you know. And I think earlier on this on
Hey
this
guys.
I think earlier on this platform we were talking about the voice. Miss Mary was talking about hearing that voice, and it feels like Joanne really listened to that knowing. I call that intuition or instinct. That there was more to hers. And then the last thing that I also caught when she was sharing was around no, that's how we've always done things, and how that is really that is a killer of dreams. I'm one person I cannot be put in a box. I make a very bad employee. That's why I'm an entrepreneur. And so normally when people try to put me in a box and say, this is how we always have done things, I'm like, that's why we actually need to do things differently, so that we can have more fun and and more creativity. But yeah, that was yeah. Congratulations, and I cannot wait to check out her the wedding sites as well. I'm such a hopeless romantic myself. I just love. So I'll be checking it out and referring it to all my younger friends who are getting engaged left, right, center here during the pandemic.
Oh, don't write yourself off. Sis Gertrude will
Oh,
tell you that.
for
Don't
myself
write yourself. Yeah, don't write.
for
We
now.
need to work on her, Ruth, and you, and Sabina.
This is Ruthie. Also, you okay?
So, for those of you who don't know, I'm revitalizing my bridal business. It's called Second Chances.
Oh, beautiful,
And Second
beautiful.
Chances is all about not giving up on love.
Ooh,
I started my bridal business at my first wedding. I was so excited
Wow.
that I was finally going to wear that beautiful dress. I actually went and made my own wedding dress, my first marriage. I
Wow.
made all of my bridesmaids' dresses. I had six bridesmaids. I had 10 flower girls, 10 page boys.
Wha-
I went to Polytech in Harare and learned how to make wedding cakes and made a 10-tier wedding cake.
Oh my.
I won Bride of the Week in the Herald that year for both the
Secret-
cake and the dress. And
Why
I
do,
was pregnant with my second child. So you can imagine.
why do you sound like a bridezilla? Like, but in a nice way. Like in a nice way. Like bridezilla gone nice. Like all the things by yours. That is amazing. So you're wow.
I know, right?
I
No,
love weddings. I love weddings. That's how I
okay, so
started.
how many dresses did you have for the second wedding?
For the second wedding, I had 5 dresses, and Ruth, you were responsible for helping me shop. So I decided not to spend too much money on a wedding dress, and I couldn't make up my mind which one I wanted. So
Also, you had
we
five.
went
You
shopping.
changed them.
I changed the whole day. I was wearing a
Yeah.
different dress, and it
Wow.
cost less than $1,000. And the
Yeah.
dresses were exquisite. They were
Exquisite.
really nice dresses.
Beautiful.
But Ruth
Which
was
is
my
the initial
first time.
stock. So that's the initial stock that she has.
Yes, yes, yes. So, for those of you who are looking for an alternative wedding dress that doesn't cost too much but makes you look and feel like a princess. And so, my husband said to me, I said to my husband, I want to be a queen for just one day. I want to get married in a castle. And he
Mhm.
said, go for it. Find a castle. There's heaps of castles in Poland. And so, we had our wedding in Poland. And
Mhm.
I'm going to show you the wedding trailer. This is what I'm using to advertise the
Wow.
business. So yeah,
Wow.
we had our beautiful wedding in Poland.
Wow.
And when I look back now for just that one day, I literally was a queen in a castle. And if anybody wants to have a wedding in these exotic destinations, that's really what I want to do with this business, is
Mm.
to take women on a
He wants to
journey
have a
where they can have
Wow.
If
one
love
day.
ever happens again, I'll call you. Love is gonna happen again, Comfort. Be
I've,
sure
gi-
of it.
I've given up on love.
Never give up.
Somebody
Never
on
give up.
Facebook
There is
says,
somebody out there who's waiting just to find you, just as you are trying to find him. What comments are we getting, Ruth?
I receive it.
there's Sifiso Mguni on Facebook. She
Ah,
says
Fiso, hey sis, how are you?
she
She
says
came to the wedding.
was there for their second wedding. She rocked the
So
dresses. So
I
she was
had
there.
I had how many people? There were only 46 people at my wedding, but they came from
Wow.
12 different countries. So
Wow.
Fiso came from London with a
Nice.
friend who was South African. We had people from Germany, from the Czech
Nice.
Republic, from Australia. And there
Oh
were
my
just 46 people there, but it was absolutely exquisite.
God.
So
Beautiful.
let me share the video, and then I'm going to share another video of the photographs that were taken.
Wow.
And how we took the photos is really funny. It's a very, very funny video. So we'll end with that. They're just 6 minutes long, and then we will call it a day. So
Thank you for sharing. I have a little bit of hope. A tiny bit.
the hope is there. I'm not going to give up on you. We are going to dance at your wedding, girls. Let's make a pact
I received it.
that we're going to go around the room, and I'm going to get all of you married.
But Selena is married.
And Selena
Selena
is
found a
Selena is
second
married.
chance.
But
She wants me to do again.
She's in a second, isn't Mr. Cheshire?
she is. She is. Okay, so here we go.
wow.
This is my wedding in Poland.
In a castle. Oh my God.
So, girls, you have no excuse. We are going to marry you off and do some amazing things with you. This is now the video for the photos, which is just hilarious. I love sharing this because my husband and I are very lighthearted. We try and laugh and be happy as much as we can. He's going to kill me for showing this, but it's all about fun today, right?
And inspiration. For
Fun
some of
and
the children.
inspiration is the source. You're right. Okay, so this is my funny photograph, taking photos where the share screen. Okay, here we go.
Tak, ja już ten.
Oh, hey. Yeah. That is so cool.
One, and then I throw the other leg up. Oh, I'm good. Okay, hold on. Here we go. So how am I supposed to get up? Okay, let me lift this leg. Yep. Now push my bum. Push my bum.
She's falling down.
I made it! Yes, I made it! Okay, so where am I sitting?
Co?
Yeah?
Jeszcze raz?
I'm sliding. I'm sliding.
Okay,
I go up?
No? Ale nie, bo to jest making of. Tak.
The making of. Okay, I'm up.
Alright, now put your back side and face this way.
I'm facing that way?
Yeah.
Okay. Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
You can... nogi, żeby były skulone. Tu, skulone, żeby były, mogą być.
Tylko uważaj, żeby pan
No.
spadnie do tyłu. Okay.
What does he want me to do?
Żeby, no nie, noga ta musi być tu puszczona. To
Tak?
dobrze?
Ale jedna może być...
Okay.
To ta może być spuszczona, nie?
Oh.
So, ladies,
Oh,
it's all about
beautiful.
finding that joy.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
Living
she
in
was
love.
so happy.
Thank you for sharing. Oh,
It was wonderful sharing this day with you, ladies. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in from all over the
Yes.
world to make the second day of the Her Story Online Summit a success. And thank you to all of the magical stories that were shared today. Without your stories, we would not exist. We love you. We honor you for stepping forward and sharing your stories. So we'll be back again tomorrow, everybody. If you have a story you want to share, inbox Ruth or myself. We are still looking for speakers. We are planning 2022 to go out with a big bang.
yes.
So have a fantastic day, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world. And bye for now.
Bye. Bye-bye.